Yeah, I'm trying this thing where I'm...
WARPAINT.
They'll take you.
Fuck you! I was right! Fuck you! I was right!
You need to remember that.
By sharing this video.
Oh no! Fuck you.
It is time for your favorite Monday and Saturday afternoon show. This is WARPAINT. Today we were going to have an interview with Cameron, but I think there was a time confusion because we're West Coast, East Coast, so he may or may not show up, but don't you fret because I have none other than Tim Toxics waiting in the background to hop in and help me out. We're still going to talk about the same topics. We're still going to cover Esptien. We're still going to cover the Marjorie Taylor Greene incident, as it's may be referred to as on this show. Again, I'm sorry to everybody who was excited for the book club to start on Thursday. I'm just going to be honest. I only read 4 pages. And I was having problems in the morning. There was just a ton of things. So it was just like, I'm just going to wait. It's going to be next Thursday, though. I promise it's going to be next Thursday. First thing in the morning, we're going to get our cup of coffee and we're going to watch some WARPAINT together. Well, you're going to watch it. I'm going to do it. You know, you can hang out in the chat too. I like that. Today's show, it's just going to be cool. Either way, we're going to have fun stuff to talk about. In the meantime, I wanted to put a little plug for my good friend, Alicia Biddle. She is working on a program to help women deal with hypermesis. And this is her link tree right here. She has dealt with this 5 out of 5 of her pregnancies. So she is, in all sense of the word, an expert. She's looked up every single option for people who are struggling with this. Upwards of 5 to 25% of women decide to get an abortion because of how difficult it is to deal with hypermesis. So this is her link tree. And then there is a nonprofit page that she has set up. I think we'll have that pulled up in just a second. It's basically her way to revolutionize maternity care in the U.S. for moms with hypermesis. It outlines her plan and objective for Stella Maris, which is the page right here. And I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I should have probably cleared that up with her. But she's basically has like a biohacking guide that's going to address environmental causes of pregnancy nausea as well as genetic and how to hack them. She has relief plans of how to address the root cause, also coming soon. This is a program, if your wife, girlfriend, sister, you know, only women can deal with this. We know that here on WARPAINT, though. If someone you know struggles with intense morning sickness or the extremes of hypermesis, this is the program for them. Look out for them. Make sure they have the support. There's also a husband's guide in there too to help people who are dealing with this. It's great for everybody involved, and it offers resources that are very limitedly available. So give that a chance. Look it up. It's very, very reasonably priced. And I just want to help out fellow moms. You know, I am very blessed. I just get a little fat in the face, and you know, that's about it. I've been tired this time, but I wonder how much of that is just me being pregnant with 3 children versus, you know, me being tired because I'm just pregnant. But anyway, we've got a really good show for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in to WARPAINT. I love seeing you guys here. I love the participation. Make sure you're hanging out in the comments. Make sure you're following us on Warboy Studios on X and Rumble and YouTube. Make sure you're following me on YouTube and X and Instagram. I will get better at this one day, remembering what platforms I'm on. I'm on X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and Rumble. So before I risk babbling on even more, this is WARPAINT. It's time to put it on.
Welcome to WARPAINT, sir.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn.
Music and the truth until dawn.
Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. Occupied zone.
The chair is against the wall.
The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
My people of this country, and we're under attack. They banning us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American flags. American flags. American flags. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American flags.
I ain't never gonna pretend that I give a damn. Anybody who's offended, come get it, we throwing hands. Anybody not trying to make America great again, you a punk, you a clown, better know where I stand. I'm the white boy with the middle fingers in the air, dog.
We don't give a what.
100 white boys gonna hold me down anywhere, dog.
We think that you suck.
My patriots, the craziest. They ain't afraid of breaking fists on faces. If you really wanna taste of this, no safety tip. Just aim the stick and spray the clip. I pray you miss, cause if you don't, they gon' go wacko. Automatic gun smoke like tobacco. Never hit a lady, but it's pretty hard to tell if you're a girl or a they, them, there's these, that, those. I ain't never gonna take a knee for the anthem. Smack 'em, I don't give a damn, can't stand 'em. Gang full of randoms, fan with a handgun. Run up in your mansion, leave it all abandoned. I was raised to be brave, to the grave. United States, we love the country that they've been corrupting. Go woke and go broker if you ain't awake.
My people of this country and we're under attack. They banning us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American flags. American flags. American flags. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American
Got that
flags.
AKA all Draco, leave you stankin', break your ankles. I'm not hearing what you saying. Hit the pavement, now you seeing angels. It get dangerous, go against the Patriots. Got all the bangers, take a look inside my closet. You gon' see way more than hangers, hammers like I do construction. Ammo, I'ma shoot at something. Why you think we own these guns? So we could just go do some hunting. You must not pay close attention. Government, they want division. Only treason if you lose. I guarantee we come out winning. Let my flag fly high like eagles. I would die for all my people. You can't change me with procedures. I'm about freedom, you about evil. Leave you hanging from the ceiling like chandeliers in cathedrals. Never have the safety on, and when we run out, we just
My
reload.
people of this country and we're under attack. They banning us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American flags. American flags. American flags. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American flags. Every time we pull up, you see stars, you see stripes, you see flags on the cars and the trucks and the bikes. Every time we pull up, we go hard, we outside, we got flags on our arms that are tatted there for life.
Every time we pull up, we don't care if you mad. We cherish this land, the haters can't get buried in rags. They set fire to old glory, turning fabric to ash.
But every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American flags. American flags. American flags. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American flags.
You are now banned from the computer. Goodbye.
They told you the war was over, and that the culture battle was done, dusted, settled. They told you to go home, smile nice, and obey. But you're here. And so am I. Which means it's not over.
Who wants to begin?
I'm tired of sleeping and dreaming. Hop out the shell of a being. I'm tired of working and bleeding. I am the God and I mean it.
There can be only
pouring up another scene. Papa got the vaccine, so ain't no acting, play no practice. Niggas wanna check this album playlist. Fuck you, pay me. I'm tired of sleeping and dreaming. How about the shell of a being? I'm tired of working and bleeding. I am the God and I mean it.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining us today on WARPAINT. We've got a lot of stuff to discuss, but as always, we begin with a simultaneous sip. Now, get out your beverage. We're going to bring Tim Toxics in here for the simultaneous sip, actually. It's going to make him wait, but we're going to have him in here. grab your beverage, be it coffee, milk, water, whatever your poison is today. Mine's water. It's going to be while I'm pregnant for all the rest of this pregnancy. Raise your glass and be thankful for another day alive and another day here together on Warpaint. And here we go.
That's the stuff.
Yeah, I think Scott Adams really was onto something. I think this is like a really good.
Well, he talked about it. He spoke about it as brain hacking, the concept of getting the dopamine in from not only being involved in a ritual, but also from the beverage of choice. His always being coffee because he's a marketing genius. But I really hope he's doing all right.
Genius. He looks like he's struggling, but hanging in there. And I mean, I feel like that's kind of the best we can hope for right now. And I hope he's just comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so today, again, we were going to have a guest on, but it looks like we've confused West Coast and East Coast times. No big deal. Hopefully he could still pop on for a little bit towards the end. We'll see if he makes it or not. But we're still going to cover Esptien list, and we're still going to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene. In the meantime, I would like to remind you guys that I am going to be doing the book club. It is happening. I'm sorry I didn't read enough pages to make it worth your while, but Tim will diligently hold me to reading the book, and I'll make sure that we do the live stream. My other thing is, like, evening Kim and afternoon Kim is not the same Kim as first thing in the morning Kim. First thing in the morning Kim is a gremlin. Like, I can be talked out of doing pretty much anything, especially if I haven't slept or I'm uncomfortable. So add pregnancy to that, and morning Kim is just a nightmare. God bless my poor husband for putting up with me.
I signed up for it, and I'll do it again.
Well,
it's only bad when you're pregnant, and it's not your fault. It's mine. I did that.
You put your Satan spawn in me, and it makes me mean. I'm just kidding.
A little bit of Tim's in your body. It just makes you feel a little more.
Especially when I had our son, I was all full of testosterone and rage. But anyway, so a couple things happened. First of all, we'll discuss Marjorie Taylor Greene, because I do think these two things tie together pretty well, considering how hard she's been fighting to release the Esptien list. So we're going to watch her video where she talks about pulling from Congress. So we'll start there. I'll add that to the screen.
Hi, everyone.
I'm going to play that
never
through.
Gets better for the
Tim, if you need me to pause at any point, just like throw up a hand. Okay.
I'll do the bald one.
Okay. Yeah. Heil.
American man or woman. The debt goes higher. Corporate and global interests remain Washington's.
Sorry, Marjorie. Let me go back.
Hi, everyone. I've always represented the common American man and woman as a member of the House of Representatives, which is why I've always been despised in Washington, D.C., and just never fit in. Americans are used by the political industrial complex of both political parties, election cycle after election cycle, in order to elect whichever side can convince Americans to hate the other side more. And the results are always the same. No matter which way the political pendulum swings, Republican or Democrat, nothing ever gets better for the common American man or woman. The debt goes higher. Corporate and global interests remain Washington's sweethearts. American jobs continue to be replaced, whether it's by illegal labor or legal labor by visas or just shipped overseas. Small businesses continue to be swallowed by big corporations. Americans' hard-earned tax dollars always fund foreign wars, foreign aid, and foreign interest, and the spending power of the dollar continues to decline. The average American family...
So far, absolutely no lies detected. This video, if this was your only introduction to who Marjorie Taylor Greene was,
She's
I'm
not
getting...
dead, Tim.
I know. Well, who she was politically beforehand, she'd been understood to be.
January, she's still a congresswoman.
She has been understood to be a Trump lackey, part of the MAGA squad, deep embedded. If MAGA had gang colors, she'd be repping them with tattoos. So the idea that she would now be willing to tell the truth, which is that we have two wings on this bird, and both of those wings are avidly flying us into the sun as quickly as possible. And the game of playing left against right, who's holding the bigger stick? What freaks can I put on the left? What monsters can I put on the right to terrify people on both sides and to invigorate their need for hostile tribal infighting. Meanwhile, she's absolutely correct. Our currencies continue to be devalued. Our political standing in the world suffers, especially in regard to the upcoming generations. And I laugh. It's almost like a tick. If you don't laugh about this sort of thing, you begin to sincerely resent. And it's really dangerous to walk around with that level of anger anywhere in your body. So if you got to laugh at it, if you got to just say, haha, it's my suggestion. It'll keep you sane. Your equanimity will shake.
They call that clown pilled.
There you go. If it's not funny, what is it? It's fucking terrific. It's terrifying. But I apologize for the language. I'll try to clean that up. I detect no lies in what she's saying. This is an accurate point that you've seen from third positionists like myself for a very long time. We're stuck into a balancing act where they throw a rubber ball into a very small box, watch it bounce around. And it's unfortunate that she has to kind of sink the standing that she currently has in order to step outside of the system that's been promoting her. But if I scrape every other aspect and memory of MTG from my brain, and I simply listen to what she's saying so far, accurate.
Yeah, I didn't actually know that. We got a commenter that's saying she uses illegal aliens to work at her construction company. Is that true?
If it is true, it would make perfect sense. I mean, I work in the trades, and I can tell you that.
Charles, in the background, can you Google that for us real quick? And if you can find something, pull it up.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tim.
I work in the trades, and I can tell you that the use of illegal labor is rampant, and it comes down to money. We're in such harsh economic conditions right now that people are more willing to hire out to illegal slave labor than hire at a living wage normal Americans, white people. And it's not that there's a lack of available talent. The only contacts in my phone are men like myself who don't mind getting up early and picking up heavy shit and putting nails in wood, pouring concrete, laying electric cable, coming home late to a cold dinner. It is what it is. It's the life we signed up for. The idea that we don't exist is insulting. Like, of course, they're going to be hiring illegals. We've created, I mean, Trump said this in 2016. It's part of what endeared him to a lot of people. There are loopholes, and I use them. And if they weren't there, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
it's not respectable
I feel the same
conduct.
way about her collecting her pension. But Carrie, if you can elaborate what you mean by she should have stayed in, I think you mean she should have stayed in Congress, and I somewhat agree. But I also don't think women should be politicians, and I think this is also a prime example of why women shouldn't be politicians. But we can get into that in a little bit. I'm going to keep playing the tape.
Family can no longer survive on a single breadwinner's income, as both parents have to work in order to simply survive. And today, many in my children's generation feel hopeless for their future and don't think they will ever realize the American dream. And that breaks my...
Real quick, she's divorced, right?
I'm honestly unfamiliar with her marital status.
Oh, yeah. I think she should have stayed in and fought. I mean, I can argue both sides of that argument, to be completely honest. So I'm just going to keep playing the thing. Even though I know she... I don't know what that means, but that's okay. I have typo problems all the time.
My heart. I ran for Congress in 2020 and have fought every single day believing that Make America Great Again meant America first. I have one of the most conservative voting records in Congress, defending the First Amendment, Second Amendment, unborn babies, because I believe God creates life at conception, and I love to fight for the little guy. Strong, safe borders, I have fought hard for that. I've fought against COVID tyrannical insanity and mandated mass vaccinations, and I've never voted to fund foreign wars with your hard-earned tax dollars. However, with almost 1 year into our majority, the legislature has been mostly sidelined. We endured an 8-week shutdown, wrongly, resulting in the House not working for the entire time, and we are entering campaign season, which means all courage leaves and only safe campaign re-election mode is turned on in the House of Representatives. During the longest shutdown in our nation's history, I raged against my own speaker and my own party for refusing to proactively work diligently to pass a plan to save Americans' health care and protect Americans from outrageous, overpriced, and unaffordable health insurance policies. The House should have been in session working every day to fix this disaster, But instead, America was force-fed disgusting political drama once again from both sides of the aisle on television every single day. My bills, which reflect many of President Trump's executive orders, like calling for a new census counting Americans only to draw new districts, making English the official language of the U.S., making it a felony to medically trans a minor, and other bills like eliminating capital gains taxes on the sale of your primary home and eliminating H-1B visas, just sit. They all sit collecting dust. That's how it is for most members of Congress bills. The Speaker never brings them to the floor for a vote. Many common Americans are no longer easily convinced by paid political propaganda spokespersons and consultants on TV and paid shills on social media obediently serving with cult-like conviction to force others to swallow the political party talking points. Because they know how much credit card debt they have, they know how much their bills have gone up over the past 5 years. They actually do their own grocery shopping and know food costs too much. Their rent has increasingly gone up and up. They have been outbid by corporate asset managers too many times when they put in an offer to buy a house. They have been laid off after being forced to train their visa holding replacement. The college degree they were told to earn only left them in debt with no big six-figure salary. They see more homeless people than ever on their own community streets. They can't afford health insurance or practically any insurance, and they just aren't stupid. These are the people I represent and love because that is who all of my family and friends are, common Americans.
I will say that if it does turn out she hires illegals for her construction company, this is all just nonsense.
Now, I can agree to that point, but I can also say with some confidence, I'd say 70% confidence on this. She didn't realize the world she was going to be interacting with until she was in bed with them. She didn't know what it was like behind the scenes until she was there. And the disgust and the contempt you can hear in her voice, I don't think it's synthetic. I think the impotence that a lot of politicians experience when they actually gain control and power is the realization that it's a giant machine. And you being one wheel, all you can really do to stop it is throw a wrench in your own gears and sink your career, or
I don't think there's
choose
any
not to
denying that
participate.
she's been a very pro-Trump and very proactive member of Congress, whatever that means. I mean, like, comparatively, a lot of these people just kind of sit around and do nothing. So I know that that might not, like, carry much weight, but she has at least, like, been about no foreign wars. Anyway, we have this pulled up. Our producer found a tweet, a Grok tweet. Here, let me just make this a little bigger for my own eyes. There is no verified evidence that Marjorie Taylor Greene's company employed undocumented immigrants. Accusations arose in 2020 campaign by opponent John Cowan or Cowan. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Citing lack of e-verified use pre-2010, but Green denies hiring any. I can't read it.
And states that her firm has used E-Verify since 2010. I don't know what E-Verify is. I'm in a cash in hand business, but as I understand it, it would not shock me to find that a politician, even the ones you like, cut corners. I mean, when you get to a certain level of wealth.
Sorry,
no, I'm sorry. I was going to say, when you get to a certain level of wealth, your morals have to fall to the wayside to maintain it. It's about it's like a ladder. Same with politically or economically. You see this happen continually. People cut costs. I mean, this is a discussion since the tariffs came into play that has been pretty frequent. If an American company can sell, the Beanie Kid, Tim Pool.
The Beanie,
I'm
the
sorry.
Beanie Boy.
Yeah, the guy with the giant kippa.
The young fellow with the hat.
He has my name. I should remember his fucking name.
I wasn't gonna point that out, but.
Tim Pool talked about this a few days ago, and look, I'm not a big Tim Pool fan, but I'm not a fan of a lot of people that I try to pay attention to. If the thoughts they're manifesting into words and action and paragraphs of text are coming from somewhere else, it's important to try to connect the dots between who's being fed from the same source. So it's important to listen to a lot of people. And Tim Pool was bringing up that he sells skateboards, and his skateboards went down after tariffs because he found that it didn't make sense to send the wood being cut not in America but to somewhere else, to China, to get sent back laminated to a factory in Mexico, send it back to the U.S. With the tariffs involved, it's actually at $35 a board to sell them that way. comes down to like $32 a board to do it all domestic. The problem is production numbers, because we don't have manufacturing in this country anymore. We just don't. And I can completely understand how you'd become disillusioned after actually rubbing shoulders with these people. I mean, on a much lesser scale, I can say that I understand that from my own experiences with these people. After I went to Trump International, I started seeing these people and actually rubbing shoulders with them. You find that a lot of it is depiction over reality. Right. Like she was saying before about the optics of getting elected, which side can we get to be more disgusting to the majority? Right. That's tends to be who wins, but that's, again, subtle manipulation, because we watched ourselves march in lockstep in the same direction. The argument that illegal immigration can be culled by using mass surveillance and mass IDs and digital ID, federalized ID, it's Hegelian. You create a problem, you need the solution, so you can't just demand the solution. You have to invigorate people into wanting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, hey, two classy gentlemen is in the fucking audience. How you doing, man? It's been a long time.
Davey.
We'll have him on sometime. He's fucking awesome. Except he's a fitness guy now. He's too good for politics. I'm just
let's lift sometime, Chief. QMTG.
All right, so let's keep listening to Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Insurance, and they just aren't stupid. These are the people I represent and love, because that is who all of my family and friends are, common Americans. I've been blessed to represent the 14th District of Georgia for 5 years. The district is filled with some of the most wonderful, kind-hearted, God-fearing, patriotic, hardworking people you will ever meet. Good, regular, common Americans. I've worked hard to bring taxpayer dollars back home to help district needs. I impeached Biden's Secretary of Homeland after watching my constituents die as he facilitated dangerous open border invasion into America. And I led the effort to defund hard-left politically biased NPR and PBS and the corrupt USAID, and I did that as chair of the DOJ subcommittee. I have fought harder than almost any other elected Republican to elect Donald Trump and Republicans to power. I traveled the country for years. I spent millions of my own money. I missed precious time with my family that I can never get back. And I showed up in places like outside the New York courthouse in Collect Pond Park.
So, like, I just want to stop to take a minute to say, like, that this was one of the things that I was talking about before when I said that women shouldn't be politicians. Like, you know, when you have a job that's this demanding, you're gonna miss time with your family. And I'm not saying that men are like more capable of doing this, but the young children in your life need the woman more. So this idea of like, oh no, like I'm looking like this is just like the feminist's worst nightmare professing itself live in real time. It's one of those like, oh no, like my youth, it's withered away and I've wasted my time without my children. It's like, yeah, that's what we're trying to warn you about.
I mean, you know? And I completely acknowledge what you're saying, but a lot of what I hear is an attempt. My opinion on the entire thing is she's trying to get out from underneath the kingmaker gauntlet because Trump is no longer going to be 100% in her corner. Someone probably showed her projections. I'm not sure who I heard this from, but someone probably showed her projections about her likelihood to get reelected, and they were not too positive without a lot of support. And the idea was, would I rather fail or would I rather say, I'm quitting this because I don't want to be attached to it? And her glazing of her own constituents, yeah, that's a Gen Z term there. Her glazing of her own constituents seems, in my opinion, to be, I don't know, an attempt to say, like, I'm not gone, but I don't want to be associated with the MAGA movement anymore. I'd like to represent you as myself. I don't want to be constantly under the umbrella of MAGA because MAGA's become MIGA, make Israel great again. MAGA's become MAGA, make Argentina great again. It hasn't fulfilled or delivered on its promises. I can see Chucky's pulled up this tweet from
I pulled that up.
Oh, you pulled that up. There you go.
I thought it was a good segue because this is the other side of the argument. And I've seen even people like Milo agreeing that maybe she was threatened or otherwise approached, I guess we'll call it. Approached from approach from somebody bad. But the basically we have a tweet here from Nick Fuentes. Marjorie Greene was forced out of Congress by Donald Trump for criticizing Israel and voting to release the Esptien files. In other words, Trump destroyed his biggest loyalist for putting America first. This is why I didn't vote. MAGA is dead. So I mean, a lot of people criticize. I saw like the Quartering made a thing about like, well, if you don't even do the basics of getting out there to vote, then you like nobody should listen to what you say, something along those lines. And it's one of those like, no, I especially after the 2020 election, I think we have every right to understand and believe that our elections are compromised. So to say that like there's some sort of moral superiority behind continuing to vote in a system that you think is rigged, I just feel like it's such a disingenuous strike. I feel like these are the kind of people who like they're not allowed to agree with Nick at all. And there's quite a bit I don't agree with Nick on. I think he says some really weird stuff sometimes, but I'm sure he would look at the stuff that I say and go, ugh, cringe woman. So it's nothing to do, there's nothing to do with that. It's more to do with I mean, I think he might be right. I think it's more likely that someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene was approached and maybe they threatened her kids, maybe they threatened her, maybe something along those lines. But I think also leading back into my argument about why that makes women shitty politicians, women can more easily be emotionally manipulated. And I don't think that that's disputable at all. Do you have anything to add before I continue playing?
Yeah, absolutely. Fuentes is accurate in the sense that MAGA is dead. Everyone that wanted to make America great again is kind of pissed off at the moment, considering that now we don't have a push in that direction, and the loyalists who were dedicated to the people, the populist movement, the constituency, they're watching gears and priorities shift towards foreign policy and towards the economic enrichment of people that aren't us. And along with the H-1B concept, you can't actively be promoting that colleges that produce inferior workers, inferior thinkers, like historically only black colleges, for example, will only be kept alive if we start dumping, like continually dumping foreign money into these colleges. And Trump is like, well, if we don't fund it and we don't allow H-1B, it's going to die. Why do we need it to live at this point? Like, what does it offer? I don't understand. I mean, I guess I do understand to some degree because this picture is bigger than just the United States, and the citizenry of the United States has been used as some sort of a placid fund bucket for years. I mean, our money goes all over the world. All of our best educated youth, they come out Marxist. Like there is no America for Americans. There is no movement that promotes that. And I think that her attempting to get out from under the umbrella, because she still has political aspirations. I mean, it's been said by dozens of people. She wants to be a governor. She would have wanted to be the vice president on the 2024 ticket. She would have wanted to be all these things. So I doubt that she's done, as you pointed out, her age. You pointed out the sacrifices she's made in regard to being the matriarch in her own home to establish this political position. I'm not of the opinion that she's done with politics. I'm of the opinion that she has seen which way the wind is blowing, and she's photographed with her arms all over Fuentes at various events and speeches. She then distanced herself and said she didn't know him. It's optics. And when the optics get in the way of what your true goal is, you have two choices. You have deceit or honesty. And if you can be sincere and honest in what you believe, it's very hard for someone to point out that you're not telling the truth or to shake your foundation. But if you want to start playing the game of what should I say so people will like what I'm saying rather than am I saying what I think is true, I think that's part of why she's dropping out.
Right. All right. I'm going to keep playing the tape.
Go ahead.
Against a raging leftist mob as Trump faced Democrat lawfare. Meanwhile, most of the establishment Republicans who secretly hate him and who stabbed him in the back and never defended him against anything have all been welcomed in right after the election. And I will never forget the day I had to leave my mother's side as my father had brain surgery to remove cancerous tumors in order to fly to Washington, D.C. to defend President Trump and vote no against the Democrats' second impeachment in 2021. My poor father and my poor mother, it was way too much for all of us. Through it all, I never changed or went back on my campaign promises, and only disagreed in a few areas, like my stance against H-1Bs replacing American jobs, AI state moratoriums, debt for life 50-year mortgage scams, standing strongly against all involvement in foreign wars, and demanding the release of the Esptien files. Other than that, my voting record has been solidly with my party and the president. Loyalty should be a two-way street, and we should be able to vote our conscience and represent our district's interests because our job title is literally representative. America first should mean America first and only Americans first, with no other foreign country ever being attached to America first in our halls of government. Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I...
Yeah, I was going to say this before. I didn't want to tag on too hard before, but this is another big point for me, is all these MAGA people who insist that if you're now anti-Trump or if you're against Trump, that you were never MAGA to start with. No, absolutely not. That's some kind of immature, unrealistic gaslighting that I just cannot abide by. I put my entire reputation on being MAGA. I lost jobs because of supporting President Trump. I lost friends for simply stating that I was in alignment with the MAGA movement. So the idea that I would come by this decision lightly and say that my support for President Trump is withdrawn, this isn't a popularity contest. That doesn't make me popular. It didn't make me popular to be pro MAGA. It doesn't make me popular to be against Trump right now. But the fact of the matter is, child rape victims, human trafficking victims matter to me. I've been deeply studying the Epstein lists and the Epstein case, and that leads into the finders keepers, and that leads into all sorts of other really dark rabbit holes that are all interconnected. That leads into all our foreign relations being questioned. And if that means that suddenly I was never a loyalist, fuck you. Quite frankly, I don't owe President Trump anything. Quite frankly, he doesn't. I'm not saying he owes me personally anything, but I do think he owes the American people what he promised, and he campaigned off of this Epstein list. He talked about it nonstop, exposing the evil of that. And what happened? It came to him saying, "Oh, it was a hoax," or as long as that's the narrative, and it seems as though there's a step in the right direction. I even talked to Jack Posobiec about this. I said to him, this is my only apprehension behind this is Trump saying this was a hoax. There's a lot of other stuff that I can forgive. Not necessarily outright, but there's a lot of other stuff that I can put to the side, because when it comes to righting the country is a ship. Think of us as like the Titanic, and it takes a lot to steer away from the iceberg. It has to be gradual movements that slowly go this way, and I'm 100% on board with that. I understand that, but when you start, and I've made it very clear on the show that I don't think Trump fucked children. I don't think he himself is on the list. I think if he was on the list, that would have expedited the process, and I think Biden would have made it the front page headlines on all of his advertising campaigns. But what I do believe is that he is covering for truly evil people, perhaps on behalf of protecting international affairs. And I think that if that is the case, because again, I'm no expert, I'm not claiming to be an expert, from the information that I take in, I think that is a distinct possibility. And if it is a possibility and we're protecting America from imploding because of blackmail relations between Mossad, places like Mossad and our own CIA, if that would explode our country, I think we deserve to explode a bit. What do you think? I know you have a lot of opinions on this.
I mean, you mentioned earlier and easily that it's possible that she was threatened. I've heard a lot of allegations that it's possible Trump's been threatened. You have to remember he has children and grandchildren. Further, you brought up the finders keepers, and that's really where this digs deep. If this is true, if it's true, let's call it a conspiracy theory to protect everybody, right? If it's true, the conspiracy theory that Epstein was working with intelligence apparati the same way Ghislaine Maxwell's father was in order to facilitate the trafficking of children, our international relationship with any country bordering us. I mean, you have to remember the finders keepers had children from Mexico. It wasn't just Americans. So if we know that the government has been involved, the CIA and FBI have been explicitly involved in trafficking children for sex trafficking, ritualistic purposes. I mean, Trump in his first administration, and I really appreciated this, acknowledged that human trafficking is an ancient art. It is. Prostitution is, they say, the world's oldest profession. Right after that is, hey, if you want to pay money and fuck someone, I've got someone tied up. You can pay me money and fuck them. And that's dark, but this is an adult show. That's the reality. The reality is also that there's ritualism involved in ancient art, in art form. The idea that all those children went missing on their own, or there was not a coordinated effort. I don't know if anyone's aware of this. After the fall of Nazi Germany, German nationalists had their children taken from them and given directly to pedophiles. 80,000 children were taken from nationalists, anyone right-wing, CPS equivalent in Germany, found excuses to take them from their parents and deliver them into the arms of people they knew would serially abuse them, because you tend to do what your parents did. You tend to think the way that they did, genetically, culturally, ethically. If we know that there's programs already in place designed to feed children into an apparatus of people who feed upon children, is it so much of a stretch to imagine that international relations would suffer from the realization that throughout decades of operation, we had prolific pedophiles in the United States trafficking children, stealing them, enticing them with drugs and money, and then forcing them into situations they didn't want to be in? The end pipeline from a lot of those horrific situations is pornography production, organ harvesting, breeding people in farms so they're unregistered. I mean, you have to consider the number of deep underground military bases and the fact that MKUltra never stopped. It gets dark really fast. And then when you connect to that, the notion that Israel is a secular state, meaning it's not a religious state, it's an ethnically Jewish state. The right to return being established genetically is only one example.
Aren't you also just telling me that that it's like the size of New Jersey?
Yes, Israel is about the size of New Jersey, roughly.
Why do they need $38 billion? What is it for?
Because America was promised to them 6 million years ago, don't you know? Like, the
Before
notion
they ever
here,
existed.
Yeah, the problems at play here in regard to Epstein Trump, it goes so much deeper than the average mind is willing to fathom, because you go to the easiest solution first. You say, oh, Trump's a pedophile. That's why. Okay, if you don't think that's true, because he has a history of fucking 20-somethings that have had work done, if you don't think that's true, then what's the other solution? He's protecting pedophiles. Okay, why?
Maybe he's being held hostage. Maybe it is a hostage type situation where he's like, they're like, we'll fucking kill all your grandkids and your children. I honestly, would I put it past people? No. Would that explain why suddenly he flipped from being very pro releasing it to being more apprehensive and holding back on it? Yeah, that would absolutely fill in a lot of blanks there. People would rather assume that he fucks children, or like David here likes to be funny and say he's a homosexual.
Well, look, we have to consider that it has to be considered that Trump calling it a hoax, he's an egocentric narcissist. His opinion that it's a hoax probably tethers to the fact that the only news he's hearing about it, because he would disregard anything he deemed anti-Semitic, because we know he's a Zionist. He would disregard that and he would immediately move to, oh, it's a hoax because it talks about me and I know what I didn't do. So it's just a Democrat hoax. Now that's extending a massive olive branch in a direction I normally would not, but we're trying to have a nuanced conversation. If that's true, if that can be believed at all, then it's not just a matter of being threatened. I'm sorry, this is going to die. I'm going to have to pull it out and switch to normal mic in a second. But it just keeps saying battery low. My bad. If it's true, and if it can be presumed that he's acting in self-interest, which would make sense given his patterns of behavior, then perhaps him being threatened goes right along with his ideology being threatened and his reputation being threatened. He's concerned about people who went to the island to get a blowjob from a 20-year-old harlot getting wrapped into people that were going there to fuck 12-year-olds. And he's been involved in high stakes business his whole life. He grew up, oh, it was just a small loan of $100 million from my father to start my business. I am so disconnected from that kind of world that I cannot fathom it. I can't fathom being gifted $100,000, let alone $1 million or $100 million. Some of these rhino influencers, I feel, got compromised. Like I said about Marjorie Taylor Greene, she walked in with really good intentions. In my opinion, altruistic evil is very rare to find. Everyone thinks they're a good guy. Everybody thinks they're doing the things that they're doing because they're good people. It's very hard to find altruistic evil, meaning I am going out to do evil. I am deliberately attempting to do evil because evil is my goal. That's
Right.
very rare. I've rubbed shoulders with murderers, and I don't think that I've really met more than 2 people in my whole life who were dedicated to being evil. I think that if you can justify your actions any way you can, you will. And sometimes that means manipulation and useful idiots, but other times it just means convenience. And I think hiring, like we said about Marjorie Taylor Greene, if she has hired illegals, it's fucked up, but I get why you do it, because you had to spend millions of your own money, she just said. Millions of your own money on your campaign. You had millions of dollars to throw away on TV commercials. That's a level of human...
you get campaign funds and stuff like that.
But still, she said my own money.
Yeah,
so
but
I'm just saying,
semantics.
Sure, semantics. I'm just saying, we're talking about a level of human progression that disconnects you from the average everyday experience of people who have to work to live, that you have to take a step back and take in a much bigger picture. I talked about equanimity. If you look at the world through a paper towel tube and then you continue to widen that lens, how wide can the lens get until you lose your mind?
Right.
Like, how much can you take in before you go, how much light can you take in before your optic nerve hemorrhages and you go blind? Like, does that make sense?
It does. I'm going to go ahead and play the rest of this before we lose it, just to wrap it up, and we're just going to play it to the end. There's only a couple minutes left.
Go right ahead.
Fought for. However, while yes, hurtful, my heart remains filled with joy, my life is filled with happiness, and my true convictions remain unchanged, because my self-worth is not defined by a man, but instead by God, who created everything in existence. You see, I have never valued power, titles, or attention in spite of all the wrong assumptions about me. I do not cling to those things because they are meaningless and empty traps that hold too many people in Washington. I believe in term limits and do not think Congress should be a lifelong career or an assisted living facility. My only goal and desire has ever been to hold the Republican Party accountable for the promises it makes to the American people and put America first. And I have fought against Democrats' damaging policies like the Green New Deal, wide open, deadly, unsafe border policies, and the trans agenda on children and against women. With that has brought years of non-stop, never-ending personal attacks, death threats, lawfare, ridiculous slander and lies about me that most people could never withstand even for a single day. It has been unfair and wrong, not only to me, but especially to my family, but it's been wrong to my district as well. I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much, and I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me. It's all so absurd and completely unserious. I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. If I am cast aside by the president and the MAGA political machine and replaced by neocons, big pharma, big tech, military-industrial war complex, foreign leaders, and the elite donor class that can never ever relate to real Americans, then many common Americans have been cast aside and replaced as well. There is no plan to save the world or a 4D chess game being played. When common American people realize and understand that the political industrial complex of both parties is ripping this country apart, that not one elected leader like me is able to stop Washington's machine from gradually destroying our country, and instead the reality is that they, common Americans, the people, possess the real power over Washington, then I'll be here by their side to rebuild it. Until then, I'm going back to the people that I love, to live my life to the fullest as I always have, and I look forward to a new path ahead. I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026, and I look forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future. May God bless you all, and may God bless America.
I would say immediately that feels narrative driven. Like I was saying earlier, she's going to want to attempt to bring herself into politics again without floating underneath the umbrella of MAGA, given that MAGA promised something it didn't deliver over and over and over. And she's putting herself in a position where she's like, okay, I came here for a purpose. She was mocked and ridiculed everywhere she was for years. Not just attacks from the left, but attacks from the right. And I think the positioning has to do with the concept of liberalism in general. If I'm going to be perfectly frank, and if you'll give me a moment here, I'll explain. Carl Benjamin, Sargon of Akkad, talked about this recently. And I think it's a very important point to make. When people say they hate the woke left, no, you don't. You hate leftism. Woke is a byproduct of leftism. It's why they now want to attach woke to the right, saying, what, left, right? You've got two opposite perspectives. You have the I support communism as the ultimate ideal perspective, and you have I support populism as the ultimate ideal perspective. One says egalitarianism for everyone. Everyone with an open hand gets it filled. Every group everywhere needs to be catered to and respected for their own individual dignity, and we as a cohesive movement can attempt to do that. Find the most minuscule issue and solve it. The reality of the situation is much more right-wing. You can't provide in a nation that's dying. You can't provide more if you don't have enough. And the idea that the host nation should be parasitically fed upon by liberal ideology endlessly, that seems gospel to the left. And to the right, our perspective is heretical to that new doctrine. The left does not embrace religion easily. The left does not embrace any concept of morality beyond one of their own invention easily. They don't like to look at the nitty-gritty. They prefer to paint everything in a rainbow, which is unironically a symbol that they utilize to identify themselves. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene quitting is an act of fear. I mean, you can, as you said before, there's a feminist perspective. She's referring to herself as a battered spouse, etc., trying to conjure up some sort of feminine ideal to justify her decisions. And ultimately, I think it's cowardly. I think it'd be better to have you on C-SPAN bugging out. But then again, I'm not legally allowed to vote, so I guess a lot of these opinions are beyond me.
Well, I don't think they're necessarily beyond you, but at least women still have the right to vote for now, or our house wouldn't get any votes. But more seriously, that's another part of this that kind of made me cringe. I've never really been fully team anyone so much when it comes to politics. But particularly when I hear something as unbelievably weird as her referring to herself as like a battered woman in this situation. Like, could you be any more fucking dramatic? Like, I understand Trump betrayed you. I understand that he turned on you, but like to insinuate that that's even remotely the same as someone like raising a fist to you.
That's just politics, baby. People stab each other in the back. It's a dirty game.
I mean, I understand. Yeah, there's an element of backstabbing here, but like I said, specifically to draw, and Laura Loomer tweeted about it, I believe. She was saying Marjorie Taylor Greene like represented Trump as like a woman beater, and I don't necessarily agree to that extent, but I do think that it's incredibly manipulative on her part to try to equate it with being a beaten woman.
Well, I mean, and I know you have a personal relationship with Laura Loomer, so I'm not going to shit on her too hard. But the idea here is Marjorie Taylor Greene was not pro-Israel; she was pro-America. So her insinuation that the Epstein list should be released means if there's a connection, a thread to intelligence agencies like Mossad, it needs to be exposed. Because if Jewish people are here pimping our children, not unlike Tom Alexandrovich, who was just caught in Nevada 2 months ago attempting to fuck an American child. He didn't know it was a cop on the other end of the computer. He wanted to rape a kid. And the Trump administration worked together with the Zionist Israeli-born DA of Nevada to get that guy put on a plane with a $5,000 bail and sent back to Israel where they won't extradite pedophiles.
You know what, Tim? I'm just getting the feeling that you were never really MAGA.
Yeah, that's it. I don't want to make America great again. I don't give it. I'm not an American nationalist at all.
You're just a traitor, you know.
I'm just a Democrat in disguise. That's my problem. My problem is
woke. You're woke. You're so woke.
I'm so woke. My whole thing is I want the browning of America. I want all of our college degrees to be worthless. I want to continue to dump our money into every other country as if money fixes the problems that your genetic upbringing will eventually create again. The reason Africa is because it's full of fucking Africans. Stop giving them money. It doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, and you hear about like all sorts of other small budget or like small items that are worked into the budget. I don't want to say they're small budget because a lot of them are not small budget, but like little nonsense projects and like all sorts of other things that are government funds. And it's like, okay, but like, don't we have starving children here?
1 in 4 kids in the U.S. goes to bed hungry.
And I mean, we don't need to put the kids on the pendulum or on the pedestal here to try to placate to the emotional bleed hearts. As long as there's a pothole down my block, there should be not a single dollar of American money leaving. Our infrastructure should be settled. Our hospitals should look like luxury hotels. Our trains and buses should look beautiful and be safe and have surveillance. Our police should look like soldiers and have all sorts of respect. These are all things that larger budgets in America would do instead of sending it outside of America. But apparently that makes me, I'm not a MAGA loyalist. I'm not MAGA. I was never MAGA. I don't care anymore. I actually care about America. And if America First is separate from MAGA now, then that's what that is. And I think it's funny that they troll them by making the hats blue. I think that's actually a really clever troll. But I see you wanted to make a point, so I'll shut up.
Oh, no. All I was going to say is as far as getting into crime, I brought this point up earlier on Instagram. I ranted about this when I was making sweet potatoes and eggs earlier. Like, my point is, right now we've reached and this ties back to what Sargon of Akkad was saying. Like, we have leftism in our DNA with how we're supposed to move. And it's not that any of us have moved left, it's that the right has moved. So now they're telling us they haven't moved in the right direction. It's not as if the administration is moving further right. They're trying to position themselves to move centrist again. They're trying to be moderate. The concept itself, like with crime specifically, we have a new inundated idea that we must use Marxism, racial Marxism, to determine whether or not your crime is more disastrous than your race. So if you happen to be of an underclass, an Untermensch in this culture, then anything you do is not your fault, and imprisoning you or punishing you is another apparatus of white supremacy and white nationalism, and instead you should be given 79 arrests before you set a woman on fire on the subway. Instead, you should be given 14 felony charges and mental health training. If you're so cognitively disconnected and your IQ is so low that you can't prevent yourself from attacking a woman or a child or an old person or anybody, attacking someone like me, attacking someone on site, if you can't control yourself, you're not a human being, you're a wild animal. And people want to say, mass executions, that's too fascistic. Okay, lobotomize them then. You can't have them walking around. And I'm sorry, in Massachusetts,
yeah, I mean, there needs to be some level of asylum back. But the problem with that is who decides what, because, you know, in certain circumstances, we'd be on the bus to the asylum. But quite frankly, like, you look at people like the most recent I can't even store this information in my brain anymore. But there was another incident of this black criminal burning a woman on the bus or subway.
Subway.
Who had, it turned out, not just been in, like, it was like, they were like, initially it was like 40 something times, but it turns out it was like 70.
70 arrests. He'd been disallowed. He attacked a woman at a mental health facility they tried to send him to, a social worker. Now he's not allowed to get sent back to that facility unless he's in a manic state, meaning that poor nurse who had to, repair her face only has to see the guy that attacked her if he's having a rough time.
He's really mad. If he's really crazy, they can bring him back in.
Yeah, that's the only time we'll have to see him again.
So like I was saying, there needs to be some kind of asylum back, but there needs, like, that should, if you're committing that, like, this should be for violent criminals. This should be for, like pedophiles, murderers, otherwise insane people who have a record of just like not being able to control themselves in public to the extent that they'll just snap and just, hit a baby in the face. I can't even count how many videos of that I've seen recently. Just like these like wild monsters walking down the street punching babies.
Or attacking women in strollers, etc., etc. Look, if you're incompatible with society entirely to the degree that you cannot conduct yourself like a normal human being, you can't just go to Circle K and buy a white monster. You have to go to Circle K and stab a woman, or go to Circle K and shit on the floor. You can't be allowed in polite society. And the problem is we have DAs and prosecutors who are infected with this liberal mind virus, who are convinced, utterly convinced, that they have to let these people back out because they're fighting the good fight. Look, I'm not saying mass executions. I'm saying our incarcerations are burdening us. In Massachusetts, it costs as much as $330,000 per inmate per year. If you give that person life in prison, you realize how many millions of dollars their victims are going to have to pay into the system to keep them alive, watching watching PBS Kids, even if they're pedophiles, watching PBS Kids on their state-paid for TV, eating ramen noodles, doing push-ups, joining gangs, extorting other people, becoming worse criminals. Oh, pardon me. The lack of nutrition in prisons causes your brain to atrophy. When you don't get enough protein to your brain and you're eating a lot of soy-invested crap, you tend to become more violent and hysterical. Our current system, the for-profit prison model, doesn't work. If there is someone that can be cured and their recidivism rate will drop and they can figure out, hey, I was living my life the wrong way, let me plug in with Catholic Charities and the Salvation Army and realize I don't want to live there and get my shit together. If that person exists, you can't pen him in with 12 Daquans that don't want to be rehabilitated, that want to form a gang and extort that guy for his mashed potatoes. It's not going to work. You're going to create more problems. So if you're against mass executions and no one's going to take these people, I hear all the time Wignats online being like, send them all back to Africa. You think Africa wants them? Africa sold their ancestors to us for a reason, because they were pedophiles, retards, thieves, rapists, murderers, incompetent, lazy. They rounded them up. You think an African warlord king who only understands basic primal aggression is going to be like, yes, these valuable members of our tribe, let me sell them? No.
From what I see, they're pretty intolerant. They're pretty intolerant of the American black. Pretty much everywhere else there are black people.
So if there's going to be a solution, you're entirely right. If there's going to be a solution here, it has to come with corrective measures. And it's like the idea of castrating a pedophile. If you castrate a pedophile, the urge to hurt a child hasn't left him. His dick just doesn't work. He's going to use a broken bottle or a pipe next time. Just don't castrate them. You have them unconscious and under the knife. Just take them out. Like JD DeLay, everyone's favorite peer-to-peer recovery coach. He talks about this continually. Wood chipper. Feet first. You can pause it a few times depending on the person. Like, it doesn't, and wood chippers are solar powered now. It costs nothing. But I'm saying, like, incarcerating these people for small amounts of time and then re-releasing them later into a society full of prey doesn't make any sense. Taking that guy who set the woman on fire, who walked away saying, I burned that bitch, walked away saying it, he's immediately guilty. I have video of you doing it. I don't need to say supposed. I don't need to say alleged. I saw you do it. So why on earth would I want to pay, or anyone else pay $10, 25 cents to keep you alive? You're not good for society. You're violent. You don't have ideas you express verbally. You have ideas you express violently. You're not capable of existing amongst the rest of everybody. And this ties back to the Esptien list. I would like to know, is Les Wexner into fucking 6-year-olds? I'd like to know, are the people that ran, what was that brand Kanye West loves? Balenciaga.
If Balenciaga's doing more than just putting cute shit in their photos, involving CIA and Moloch and children in bondage, if they're involved in actually raping children, can they not be stripped from their corporate offices hair first, handcuffed by the ankles, dragged down steps, and thrown into an incinerator? Is that not a possibility? Because a lot of America thinks it is. I mean, even in England, if you ask the population, what do you think of the death penalty? 50% says yes. If you ask them, what about specifically for child murderers? 55. You ask them, what about specifically habitual abusers and murderers with histories of violence? Goes up to 65. What about terrorism? 70%. The death penalty, look, you can give them absolution and last rites, but the idea that Christians are supposed to just sit down and turn the other cheek, that has nothing to do. That has nothing to do with actually inviting violence and being passive. It's ridiculous. Why the Epstein list situation bothers us so much, so many people. Why Marjorie Taylor Greene is willing to torpedo her own career over it. You don't get to come to
Assuming
this.
she's not being threatened.
Assuming not. But why she stood up about it in the first place, even as it got less and less popular, as they realized that Republicans and Trump's friends might get tethered in. Like, you don't get to take the most vulnerable in our society, literally your future. Your nation's future are your nation's children. I saw earlier David said that people are turning more towards Milo or Tucker.
Oh yeah, I wanted to bring that up. I'm really glad you brought that up again. Hold on.
It tethers in, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it in a few moments if I could just finish this.
No, you're fine. I'm just pulling it up.
People are turning more alternative right because they're realizing that we have a parasitic relationship with not just Israel, but with certain religions. We have a parasitic relationship with people who worship the Talmud. What's the Talmud say should be the penalty for raping a child under 3 who's a goyim? Said it's no different than sticking a finger in an eye. I don't remember the gobbledygook Hebrew words for it, but you can look it up yourself. I've got files on files. The book stack next to me. It's just the idea that we should live amongst people who see our children as playthings and actively do their best to subvert their way into the academic institutions like Esptien did, MIT and Harvard.
Right.
Grab kids, sucker them into situations where they're saying no, and I'm saying, yeah, I'm unzipping my flag because I like it, and I'm going to hold you down and do what I want because I'm God's chosen person and you're an animal. We can't live among people like that. What they do to our currency, what they do to our politics, and then the idea that exposing them for what they've done, they've embedded so deep that, oh, this is going to hurt so many other people. This is going to shut down apparati. Like you said earlier, if the gears of this nation require child's blood to turn, then they should be stopped and dismantled, and a new system should be built. I'll die on that hill.
Yeah, that's definitely far more eloquently than I put it. Oh shoot, I didn't mean to get rid of it. Hold on, let me pull it back up.
Okay, yeah, you go on that first.
No, you could go ahead. Basically the comment is from a teacher, not a former teacher, from a teacher's perspective, no matter the case of Trump or the Republicans alike, the young males of America are really moving towards Nick, Milo, and Tucker. Tim.
If you have a group of people, if you have specifically young men in this country, and I'll even leave white out of it for a minute, young men in this country have been told that they are the problem. They've been told over and over that they are responsible for all of our woes. They're not the guardians. They're not the decision makers. A lot of them have only recently turned 18, 19, 20, 21. Since they were 8 years old, we've had this long pushing narrative that men are the problem. You should feel guilty about the color of your skin if you are white, or you should feel guilty about the color of your skin if you're white passing. If you don't actively push to reject America, reject Americanism, condemn our founding fathers, then you yourself are part of the problem. And being inundated with that by feminist teachers, being inundated with that message by feminist news, by music, propaganda in media, propaganda in television, propaganda in everywhere, video games. They've gotten into video games.
Education.
At this point, you just know that these people are repulsive, reprehensible, and against you. And what are you going to say to your enemy? You're going to say, you're right. I have no right to exist. I have no right to want something from my descendants, the country my ancestors fought for. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people listening now, you understand. I mean, my family on both sides fought in 3 continental wars here. The War of 1812, the French and Indian War, the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, the War of Northern Aggression, to say it more accurately. But the notion that we are now to blame for what other people are doing to us go fuck yourself. Like, of course people are turning towards alternative media. People that are saying, hey, there's actually a third-party group responsible for manipulating everything from your currency to your entertainment to your nutrition. There's people who are connected to each other that are allowing lead to be put in your protein powder. Like, it's a cascading fall into madness. And of course people are going to stand up and rebuke that. They're going to naturally kick against it. You can understand the plight of the Negro. You can understand the plight of the savage American. You can understand all these things. You can see it. They call themselves indigenous or native, but they're just Mongolians that immigrated without permission. Like, when we came here, they were eating each other in the woods and they want to complain about it. That's fine. Have your casinos. I wouldn't have given you those. Be grateful. The notion, though, that everyone else is supposed to suffer, suffer not just indignity, suffer deletion from the physical and public square on behalf of foreigners who did not want to assimilate, who tell you that Santa Claus should be considered a hate symbol. Thanks, ADL. You've told us all we need to know about you. We went secular. We didn't say it's about venerating the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. We said it's about Santa Claus and gift giving and coming together. And that wasn't enough. That had to be shit on too. So you know what? At this point, we want you gone. We want you fucking gone. We want your influence out. We want you to unplug from us. We want you to stop feeding off our grid. Go. There's a whole place the size of New Jersey full of just you fuckers. Go there.
If they'll take you.
If right. If right to return will take you. If they're not going to sterilize you like they did to the Nigerian blacks. Against their will and against their knowledge, these women were sterilized in Israel.
I do want to refocus just for a second on the idea that people are the young minds of America, where those are heading. People don't understand, and I mean, maybe that's an unfair assessment because I think a lot of people do, but I think a lot of people are forgetting the boomers are dying. Boomers are on their way out. So the idea that, like MAGA is largely boomer based. Mm-hmm. And people are looking at people like, and I know a lot of these, Milo and Nick aren't necessarily same team here. But you see like Candace Owens and you see Tucker Carlson and you see Milo Yiannopoulos and you see Nick Fuentes, and they're very, very highly listened to. They're diligent communicators, and it's caused a huge rift because there are plenty of people who agree with them and plenty of people who are upset like we are at the way that the second Trump administration has been going. And I think that that's a reasonable thing. I think it's unfair, and like I said, a certain level of gaslighting to say that, you would have never, if you were never truly MAGA, if you are against Trump right now. Well, I challenge that you should be capable of calling out injustice and wrongdoing in people that you respect and follow. I think that if it gets to the degree that it has now, doing so publicly makes sense. I don't have a backdoor to President Trump. I can't just like text the guy and be like, hey, you really dropped the ball on the Esptien files here, buddy. Like, this is my means of communication with the world about this kind of thing. And I'm allowed to say that I'm disappointed because I think anybody reasonable is disappointed. And I think that the young people, the younger generation, I feel so fucking old saying that. The younger generations that are still in high school are looking at us and they're seeing the divide happen, and they're going the way of the alt crowd because that tends to be what the younger kids do. And right now, the alt crowd is Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens and online commentators. Even Tim Pool, I'll throw him in there. Tim Pool is definitely up there. Brett Cooper. Yeah. Lily Gaddis. Isabella Moody. Mark Dice.
Red Ice. Lana and Hendrick. Love you guys so much.
Salty Cracker. Even the Quartering.
To some degree. More the Jeremy Hanley channel than the Quartering. The Quartering himself says the left left me. It means he's nothing but a liberal. Like,
I think I disagree with him on a lot, but I'm saying that he has a loyal following because the younger generations are looking to people like that who are alternative to the mainstream who are still that's who they're getting their news from. That's why people like Charlie Kirk. That's why people like Ben Shapiro. That's why people like what the fuck is that? Matt Walsh. Sorry.
To a degree.
I mean, like I said, whether or not they get exposed later is you know, puppet masters with big paychecks coming in from big places. And they were at least billed as alternative.
It's why I threw Brett Cooper into the mix, because she worked alongside the God King, and she worked alongside Ben Shapiro, and she worked alongside all these people. But the minute she actually wanted to say, like, hold on, there's a serious issue here. If you guys hate America so much and you want to dictate our politics based on your specific 6% of the world population group, maybe you don't need to be here. Because, like, the reality is that our goals are different. You have to realize that Israel has the biggest gay pride parades anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world. And yet in the Jewish religion, if you're actually going to treat them as a religion, they're not pro-homosexuality. So it's like, you guys just want liberalism. You just want leftism. But like the idea of human rights in the same capacity. Oh, pardon me. Bubbly water. The idea of human rights in the same capacity, Israel had riots against stopping the rape of Palestinian prisoners. The woman that exposed it in the Israeli army got in a bunch of shit. Israelis, they'll pull in Palestinians as young as 12, and they'll rape the shit out of them, and they'll pee on them, and they'll do all sorts of debased, ridiculous shit. And like, that's a problem. And I see that same ideology present in Esptien, who was allowed to function via the help of Anthony Weiner and people like that. From 2006 was the initial complaint to 2008 and the original conviction, all the way through. I mean, you've got his island populated with every major celebrity, politician, and thought leader. You got him given classrooms in MIT and Harvard despite not having the degrees. Les Wexner gave him an apartment for $1 that was worth millions. This is sheer manipulation and blackmail. And once you find out someone has a particular taste, imagine for a second, put yourself in the shoes of a drug dealer. I've given you enough taste that now I know you're not going to leave. You're going to come back. So now I might as well start asking for more than money. And that might sound evil to most people. And it is absolutely evil, but it's not something you can't wrap your mind around. The idea that it's a hoax is insulting. The concept that the victims of this are innumerable. And many of them have spontaneously died. I mean, Virginia Godfrey being a prime example. She even released a Dead Man Switch. That got pretty much ignored. I only ever see it as memes. If Trump was involved in physically being there, the only reason the left wouldn't have released it is because they would have had to release more. And the reality of it turned on, Joaquin Jeffries, something like that? Joaquin, Jack Cream Jeffries, sucking a bag of 30 coins of silver right out of Epstein's ball bag. Like it's gonna keep blowing back on the left, because who was that woman? Some negress. She was sitting in a deposition. Sorry. She was sitting in a deposition texting this child rapist so that she could have better ammo to use to try to defame Trump. I mean, like, if pedophiles control that deliberately the apparatus of this country, if the controls are plankton inside your SpongeBob brain, but the guy at the wheel knows what 12-year-old pussy tastes like, then what the fuck? Like, how is that not an immediate call to action to everybody? I mean, what if it was your kid?
Yeah, wasn't it Sam Hyde who made the joke that was like, "Oh, you know, we're about the good pedophiles." You know, I forget, his bit's obviously much better not delivered by me.
I mean, if your point in paying attention politically is that you want the betterment of your society, and your immediate impulse, your immediate response when you hear that there's a bunch of politicians trafficking children and covering it up, and academics and media personalities covering up the trafficking and assault of kids because they're all in it together. How if your immediate impulse isn't to stomp on that, like you found a rat trapped in a glue trap and you want to just crunch it down and get rid of it, I don't think you and I are comparable. I don't think you understand where I'm coming from, because it's evil. And evil itself you don't barter with it. You don't make peace with evil. You fucking destroy it. And if that means scars on your skull and more time in prison, you do it. You just do it. You do the right thing. Not to bloviate, but I didn't have to do 3.5 years. Didn't have to. I could have just named names. And all this is would you rather name the names or be associated with them? And they all said, you know what? To name the names disrupts too many of my friends' lives. So they might have fucked a couple kids, but they're good people. What the fuck did you just say?
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to take this opportunity before we reach too much longer. We have about 1,300 of you with us, which is terrific.
Oh my goodness! If there was 1,300 people at my house, I couldn't host you.
I would have a panic attack and call the police. But thank you guys for joining. While we have you here, make sure you're following us over at Warboy Studios. Make sure you're following Tim Talk6 on X and Tim Talk6 on Instagram. Make sure you're following Chief Bacher on X. Subscribe to me and him on X at me, it's Culture as always. And I'm very excited to announce that we do have Chance joining us in just a few moments. So if everyone can go ahead and share this stream, we've got our guests finally ready to come on, and we're gonna do our last couple videos with him here.
I need 2 minutes.
You need 2 minutes.
Can you carry it for 2 minutes? It's just cold down here. I gotta get a jacket.
You're good. Go get a jacket. All right, so it's just me for 2 here. I'm gonna take him off the screen. We don't need that there. All right, so again, we have Chance joining us in just a couple minutes. His handle on Instagram, I'm not sure if he's on X. I should have asked that before we had him on, but his handle on Instagram is CHANNSEE_. He is the host of Paint the Town Red podcast. It looks like he has his links available on his Instagram. Again, that's CHANNSEE_ on Instagram. You guys can go follow him here. He'll be joining us very shortly. Again, make sure you're following all of the War Boys. Make sure you're following me on X, on YouTube, on Instagram, and on TikTok, as well as Rumble. Make sure that you set an alarm for Mondays at 2:30 and Saturdays at 2:30, as well as next week officially, this time for real, we'll be starting the book club for the morning book club. And our first book, as you guys probably all remember, is The Essential Mind Kampf, available on dissidentminds.com. I do think on one of my posts where I was talking about doing the book club, somebody posted another link that I think might be a little bit more affordable. Either way, I would love to send support to Dissonant Minds. They're a great company. They're great people. And I just it's the book that I bought. So that's why I plugged that one. I still got no connection to them. But while we're waiting for Tim to return, warmed up, and Chance to join us, again, make sure you're following. Make sure you have all the reminders set. And thank you so much for being here. This is it's a lot of fun for me. And I hope it's as fun for you. It's been a day, guys. It really has been. Oh no. Okay, wait, hold on 1 second, guys. I actually think my dog is outside. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna put the standby screen for just a second. Let me make sure I didn't. From there. Come here. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. My dog got stuck in the chair in the next room. It sounded like he was outside. Either way, I'm excited for our guests to join and for my husband to be back. Here we go. And to stage.
Hello. Sorry. Well, we have a bit of a ghetto setup standing up right now. I'm redoing the basement in our house, and this is the last room to redo. So it's the most room for me to film in, and it's wintertime in Appalachia, so I had to get a jacket. I could hear it in my voice.
It's wintertime in Appalachia.
I could hear it in my voice. I was all right, now hold on now. If it was just discomfort, I wouldn't have bothered, but
Well, I was just letting everyone know that we should be joined by him. He says he's getting on right now. So
Well, that's going to be excellent.
I'm going to let you do a bit of an introduction. You've known him a little longer. I will be back.
But yeah.
I will be back momentarily.
Oh, absolutely. The young man's going to be joining us in a few minutes. His name is Chance. He, as I understand it, was pushed out from his own Republican Party. He was a member of it. I'm not going to dox him, but he can talk about where he's from on his own, West Coast based. He was pushed out because apparently his Republican Party was not so interested in a populist uprising movement. They weren't interested in protecting those that live here, those that are from here, those that belong here. Instead, the Republican Party was doing exactly what the Republican Party has been doing, which is pushing the status quo down the line and making sure that the party is big tent as big as possible. It's essentially the exact same thing as the Democrat Party recently. It's funny that earlier I critiqued Jeremy Hanley for saying the left left me, the right left me. I've been politically homeless essentially the entire time I've been involved in any of whatever this is. I don't know if you are familiar with me or not. I used to be Wake Up Caller and a few other big accounts on Instagram. Everything gets stripped away over time, and then I have work, so it's not that big a concern. I've only gotten involved again in doing this sort of thing in the past few months. It's where I encountered Chance. His content's good. He's smart, he's young, he's able-bodied. He's got some really fascinating lineage in his family line. I'll let him choose whether or not we can divulge that, but the fact that my ancestor, being John Singleton Mosby, is connecting with him and who his ancestor was, that's some interesting stuff. I think we need to get a third or a fourth in there and make the new Sons of the Revolution party, but it's just my concept, an idea. It's like AFNP. Americans for no parties. All foreigners need paddy wagons. Afraid? No, never mind. I don't know. I was going to come up with another one. It's a wonderful acronym. It's alien-flavored Nazi popsicles, you know, like Under the Ice. Admiral Byrd, all that. But to keep things serious, and I'm sure he's going to have a lot to contribute to this conversation because he pays attention politically, Marjorie Taylor Greene deciding that she has to leave the party. Oh, look, my brown dog. Hey, Max. Want to come up? Oh. Marjorie Taylor Greene deciding that she has to leave the party. Oh, stop it, stop it. Me being an animal abuser and a badass won't work if you're licking me. Marjorie Taylor Greene deciding to leave the Republican Party right now, stepping down from her candidacy, or stepping down from her elected position. It's fascinating to look at from a few different angles, because as I said, I think that, oh, would you look at that? The man is here. Hello.
How's it going, guys? Sorry.
The woman had to step away for a minute, but I'm here. Hello. It's wonderful to have you on. Welcome to WARPAINT. You wear it well. Right before you stepped on, I don't know if you heard the introduction. I find it fascinating that someone with your lineage, someone with my lineage, are actually from two very different sides of the Mason-Dixon coming together to have rational conversations. If you want to share who your ancestor is, we can do that until she comes back. It's a good conversation to have.
Yeah. So my real name is actually real last name is Minton, and we come from Shropshire, England. And then my grandfather Joseph Minton came over here in the 1600s. And then Thomas Minton fought in the Revolutionary War, was captured in the Battle of Charlottesville. And then his son actually traveled up to New York and lived in the Brooklyn area in New York as one of the natives from England. And he spent his time working in gangs and kicking out Irish people, or trying to. So
you want to drop that name?
So it wasn't Bill the Butcher. It wasn't actually him. It was connected to him. So it wasn't actually him. Yeah.
Still, we have one of the natives here himself. We have "This land is my land. I die a true American. Hello." Next to John Singleton Mosby's descendant. And it's just fascinating that north of the Mason-Dixon and south of the Mason-Dixon has decided that ultimately our differences weren't so severe. We had much bigger fish to fry, and we're instead being Treaty of Ghent style forced to fuck each other over.
Yeah.
But no, I completely agree with a lot of the motivations that, in a sense, your ancestors had. I mean, being a founder of the nation, you want to resist immigration. And when my father's side of the family was here, I think in the 16s, and beyond that, like I mean, they came before the rest of the settlement boats came, and then they went back to Scotland, and then they came back again. It's goofy to look at from a distance, but the notion that resisting immigration, because obviously immigrants have different loyalties, it makes perfect rational sense. And what we've been talking about today so far is covering Marjorie Taylor Greene's departure from politics, at least in the current form that they've been preset for her. In addition, we've been discussing the Epstein list reveal and why that's relevant, why more young people are shifting towards people like Tucker and Nick Fuentes and Milo Yiannopoulos in perspective online than listening to mainstream candidates. And I mentioned briefly that you were a member of a Republican Party in your area. I didn't dox where you're from. You can get into that on your own. I was mentioning that the youth seem to be moving in a direction that pushes more towards what we would call aggressive right-wing politics, and it essentially has to do with the fact that our people have been shit on for a very long time. I didn't even restrict this to white men. I just said young men. Young men have been convinced that they are the problem through things like liberal feminism, through things like international Jewry, through things that are just dedicated to telling you that your religion, your stance in politics, your stance in life, even your ability to earn prosperity in this nation are at threat because of who you are intrinsically, and you must be willing to surrender it. It's detestable for me to hear these concepts, but it's why so many other people, especially people younger than myself, are becoming very aggressively right wing. And it fills my heart with joy at the same time that it's going to break my heart when they realize there's not much you can do as a person being ruled over unless you really want to get involved. And a lot of people don't want to get involved because it scares them and they have other shit to do.
Yeah.
Kimberly's back. I'll let you two.
Well, before we get too much more into this, I did want to still give you a further opportunity to introduce yourself to the audience. I know you have a podcast. I would love for you to be able to tell people about. Go ahead, and you have the floor.
You have the floor.
So my name is Chance Bowen. I run Paint the Town Red podcast. We talk about politics, and I'm a Christian. I classify myself as a Christian nationalist or as a white nationalist. I'm pro-white openly. I worked for the Republican Party for 3 years, where I hid those views, and then it kind of came to a conclusion where they were wanting me to, not talk about the gays and not talk about abortion. And I'm like, wait a minute, now I'm already not talking about being pro-white. I'm already not talking about being Christian, and now you want me to start saying that I'm pro-abortion and that I'm pro-gay marriage? I mean, that just is the Democrats. There's nothing different.
Except we're the woke right now.
Right. And so I said, no, I said, I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry. I'm actually Christian first, then I'm Republican. And those were kind of my last words in the party. And they're very top down. They think they own the world because they're in political power. That's kind of the people that are in politics. The reason why they get in is because they're power hungry. And when someone makes them mad, they want to destroy them. And so they've been on a vendetta to end my career. I also have a business. We do janitorial service cleaning, and so they called all my clients and told them I'm a Nazi and everything else.
Isn't that how it always goes?
Yeah. And so I've been on a tirade against them, defeating them politically.
We got 3 dogs. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry. I was going to say.
We got 3 dogs. Don't worry about it.
No, you're good. My dogs love interrupting our feed, so don't feel bad about that.
Thank you, guys. And so anyway, I worked for the party for 3 years, learned how to run campaigns. I've managed statewide campaigns. I worked for the Herschel Walker campaign. I travel all over the U.S. working for politics. I know a lot of the bigger people in politics. And so what I plan on doing is pretty much translating what I know, what I learned to this movement. And what I've known that this movement, or that what they're doing with this movement, what they do with multiple movements that are and they do this on the left and the right, that are kind of swelling in the bottom, is they will try to dissipate them. That's what they will try to do. They will try to waste our time. They will try to drag things out because in their mind, you got to think from their perspective, they're old and they think, oh, these kids, this is just a fad. You guys ever heard that? Like, oh, this is a fad. Mm-hmm. And so they will try to just make it to where our movement has no traction for as long as they can. And then they think it's going to dwindle out. And right. So my main goal is securing our base and making sure we have like a security plan. So that way, even if they try to dwindle us, we're still going to be here and we're going to have positions of power. And what does that mean? That means putting in people in positions of power who are, you could call them groypers or whatever you want to call them, that are kind of hiding their power levels. It means people that are not hiding my levels, like you and I, getting in positions of power in the media, getting more views, things like this, expanding the Overton window. These are all the things that I've been working towards to do that. So.
Well, I certainly wouldn't say that it's socially acceptable to be pro-white, but I feel like it is definitely heading in that direction. I know you have your experiences getting expelled from Republican groups for expressing pro-white ideology, but do you see that kind of similar trajectory?
Yes, no doubt about it. I kind of have this thing where, like I said, there's differences in groups of people. It's like there's the people that hide their power level, and there's the people that don't. Obviously, all of us here, we're not hiding our power level. It's over for us, right? But everyone kind of says like, "Oh man, this is like worry. Aren't you worried? Like, man, you're going out there, you're saying these things, and that is, is anyone mad at you, or have you lost any of your clients or anything like that?" The answer is yes, I have. I lost my job. I was a top consultant in this area. I've lost a lot of stuff. But I don't care, because what replays in my head every night, all night long, is the video of that kid that I just recently watched, actually, that I did a review on it, where he goes up to the group of black kids and he says, "Well, you kicked me in my back." And then they go, "Have you seen that video?"
I haven't.
Yeah, and then the group of kids like confront him, and he says, "Well, because I guess they kicked him in the back, some kind of chunkier kid." He goes, "You kicked me in my back," and all these black kids go, "Ha ha ha!" And he turns around and walks off, and they come up behind him and they smack him in the ear. So he goes, "Ugh!" And he like turns around, and he like starts running after the kid that smacked him, one of the little kids, and a big old like 16-year-old comes over the top of and side busts him, boom, hits him with a right hand right in the top of the head, and he just goes to the ground. And he's like, "Ah!" And he's like going this, and they're just all beating the crap out of him on the ground. And he like stands up and he's got blood just gushing from his face. Then the white parents go online and say that they're the ones who are sorry. And they bought the black family, the kid that side busted him, a bike. And the black father, is caught on tape saying, "Well, we can't let the whites win," or something like that. "We can't let them win."
Yep.
That replays in my head over and over all night long on repeat, and I can't get it out of my head. And so I don't feel bad one bit. I feel like we're not going far enough. I feel like everybody's a bunch of, pretty much, for lack of a better term, they're a bunch of pussies that are not doing it. And I don't care how smart you think you are. You're so intelligent that our birth rate is now crumbling and our race is going extinct. You're geniuses. You're way smarter than all these dumb Nazis that are online exposing themselves. Wow, you're so smart. But guess what? You're going extinct. So actually, you're very dumb. You're so smart that you're dumb. And I just disagree with that. I disavow it entirely.
Well, we were discussing it earlier. It's just like so ironic that we're the ones getting the woke right, but they're the side that's still calling us Nazis. You're the side that's, you're the Nazi. Okay, people are just going to start wearing that. People are just going to say whatever to it. And the same way they are when they're saying, with being white nationalists. Yeah, I'm a white person and I'm proud to be a white person and I'm proud to live in America and I love my land. So I am a nationalist who is white and I am proud to be white. Mm-hmm. And to try to take that and make it dirty and make it about how that's about supremacy and about the oppression of the minorities. And I even see today a video of a black woman talking about how whites invented oppression. And it's just, people believe this garbage. So unless there are people like us who are willing to wear the labels, the no-no labels, this conversation is never gonna fucking happen.
Yeah. 2 quick points on it. One, if you're watching us now, Kimmy said there was about 2,000 live. If you're watching it now, I want you to understand, hiding your power level in order to subvert your way into a position of authority, do it. Do it. If you have to, if you still can, not if you have to, if you still can, hide that sort of thing. That you feel this way, that you think the fact that there's a black caucus and a Jewish caucus and a Korean caucus and white people are told if they were to suggest having a white caucus, how do we protect the suburbs? How do the rural people protect themselves from ghetto inbreds from the city coming out deciding that lynching you is an entertainment thing they'll put on TikTok? If it doesn't bother you a bit that we're not even allowed to look out for ourselves, and that doing so is now, as Kimberly said, considered a dirty word, like if it's considered smeared in dirt, how do you expect to have a good, wholesome existence in this country for your descendants, your grandchildren, your children? If you think it's bad now, just wait. If you don't wake up, if we don't have a switch, if there isn't a turnover, 11% of the planet's population will drop to 7, drop to 4, and then anyone that's left that's even lightly unmelanated will be hunted. We condemn white nationalism, but we support black nationalism. BLM itself used to say that things like delaying gratification was a white trait. Owning a dog makes you a supremacist. Things like planning ahead, financial planning was considered whiteness, and whiteness must be abolished. If you really think about what they're saying, it's retarded. That doesn't make any fucking sense. It only makes sense if you view the world through a racially Marxist lens. And where do you inject that lens? College. And if we're going to be continually funding historically black colleges and continually
Well, you
funding
also
liberal
got
universities,
mommy daycare is also a big one. That's why core curriculum has been such a catastrophe.
absolutely. If
And for
you
those
don't,
of you who don't understand what I'm talking about, I'm talking about public education.
the way that public education has been going, the way the Department of Education has been running it, we have to celebrate everything that makes us goofy. You can't just be normal. Normality. They've associated being normal with being white, but you look at Asian immigrants and they succeed the most because they act white. They keep their culture at home. They work hard outside. They're polite. They pick up litter.
Well, that's what they're saying. I understand why people associate supremacy with being white because they associate all these behaviors with being inherently white. When it's just like, like you say, like they're as far as IQ and stuff, Asians are often over achieving in comparison to the standard Caucasian. I do have a comment here. I want to field to our guest. Someone is saying, well, you should actually be proud of being human. I would like to allow you to respond to that because I know how I want to respond, but I want to hear what you guys.
It's funny they say that. I actually had a thought because I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast and it was talking about like how aliens are coming, and you got Aline Pauline going on and being like the Book of Enoch and aliens. They're just using that to distract us. I mean, who knows? There could be aliens, and then we have to be proud of being human, I guess. I mean, we do have a domain over, animals, like the Bible says. But I would say this, like the Bible says that we have domain over all the fish and animals of the world, the beasts of the world. But does that mean that we should go and mistreat a bunch of farm animals in the way that we do today? And then a lot of their wealthy people will say, what, you want everyone to starve? It's like, wait a minute. For thousands of years, we all had individual homesteads. And that's why our population was so high, because people would want it. They were incentivized to have kids because they were financially incentivized to do it. Because if you had a kid, that's another hand on the farm. And so everyone would have 9 kids. Whereas now you're incentivized to not have kids because they're just a cost burden to you. So this question to me, you should actually be proud of being human. Not only am I proud of being human, I take the ultimate responsibility. I'm going to do the white thing and take the ultimate responsibility. And I want to be a good human and a good Christian on earth. Rather I'm white or any color I am, or whatever color I am, I'm going to do the white thing and be a good steward. And I think that starts with, ending the things that we're already doing, like giant mass factory farming, where we're putting, pigs in a square box their whole entire life and feeding them a bunch of crap and then just killing them. They have no life. I mean, that's terrible.
That's terrible. I mean, feeding people that is also terrible. Like if what you're eating is full of poison and garbage, then you're eating poison and garbage, even if it's in the form of a fillet.
I mean, the argument this relates to me. This brings me right back to the argument we just heard about SNAP benefits. If you think that supplemental nutrition means soda and high fructose corn syrup snacks and processed dairy and processed carbs to the point that you can hold a torch to an Oreo and it won't ignite to get to 1500 degrees. If you think that's nutrition, you're retarded. The idea that SNAP isn't directly benefiting local farmers is ridiculous. There should be so many American farms that are told, hey, you're going to be given a supplement from the government to grow corn, potatoes, turnips, cabbage, lettuce, and if you can, eggs. Like put them when I was locked up, the eggs we got came pre-broken out of shell in a frozen bag. It's also what they give to the military. If you're going to get eggs, it's not just powdered. It's cracked out of the shell, put into a container, vacuum sealed and frozen. Gets to you, you unthaw it, you cook it, it's scrambled eggs. It's the exact same shit. If we can do that for inmates and we can do that for soldiers, why can't people on SNAP get a block of government cheese, but instead of being processed crap like actual government cheese was, where it wouldn't melt, even no matter how long you put fire to it, give them real food? Because I was bringing this up about prison earlier in today's stream. In prison, you're fed things that aren't nutritious, and a lack of nutrition causes the brain to literally shrink. When you get a lack of nutrition to the brain, you become more violent and hysterical. You're already locked in a condition where you're surrounded by people that are the most violent dregs of society. Why would you think that starving these people and giving them ramen noodles is going to make
Well,
anything better?
we've already established that prisons don't actually rehabilitate.
Yeah. No, the recidivism rate is like 97% likelihood to go back in.
I would like to rein you back to the point
Mhm.
of responding about proud of being a human versus
Proud of being a human. Okay.
proud of being just white.
Proud of being a human. Okay. I'll sum it up this way. Your ancestors fought tooth and nail against wild animals and foreign tribes in Europe, and then in the new America, and then to now, in order to exist. Every single generation that has existed beforehand fought tooth and nail to get you here. The idea of disrespecting that lineage by saying, well, I might as well be replaced by someone from somewhere else. Why do you exist at all? Being a human, being just a mere human being, ignores every aspect and apparatus of genetic lineage at all. Like, the reason that whites develop nice cultures everywhere they are is the same reason that essentially Africans don't. It's because we went through the genetic memory steps of forming the Bronze Age, forming the medieval era, forming the Renaissance. Then we went through the Dark Ages. Then we had Enlightenment. We got to here because it is connected to our culture. Culture develops over time. If you're telling me we can inject a foreign culture and suddenly expect to shift, if we can get people who have no connection whatsoever to what we consider post Magna Carta Western theology, it's ridiculous. It's preposterous. And then we see it in crime statistics. It doesn't work. They come here and they don't know how to behave. It's like
Well, they also misrepresent the crime statistics in order to inflate white crime when most of the people, I wouldn't say most, that's not fair, but a lot of the crimes that are reported or the data is stored and counted for are like obviously Hispanic or and not white. It's just,
I mean, manipulation of statistics aside, you can see it. You know it. You know that you're in more trouble if you're on a bus with a guy that doesn't speak English at all and is looking at you menacingly, because where he comes from, no one would let their children or women around someone from a foreign tribe. But here he is being allowed around you. It causes a confusion in their brain. Like, you have Senegalese in England making TikToks laughing about how, like, hey, look, they put me in a hotel 100 yards from a school. They want me around their kids. That's
well, I
weird.
mean, even Mamdani ran off of the idea of taxing white people more. Like, it's just, it's false and it's wrong to lie and say that it's any other race isn't permitted to have identity politics. Everybody is allowed to rally around being gay or being black or being Hispanic or fill in the blank. It cannot be white, though. And it's a concerted effort to demonize whites as an entire population. It's not just an American effort, that's a globalized effort, because there is an effort to reduce and minimize and potentially eliminate the white race. And if you're a white person and you acknowledge that this is happening, if you have woken up to the degree that you see this plan unfolding and you don't want to stand up and do something about it, there's something wrong. There's something wrong there. There's nothing about wanting to carry on your family's lineage that is inherently wrong for any individual group of people, and I reject the idea that I inherently hate everybody else because I'm pro-white.
Yeah, that's the crux of the conversation I've seen up to recently online as well. It's like a lot of these people that are kind of finally waking up and are seeing a lot more pro-white rhetoric. They're going, "Hey, you can't be Christian and good morally and be pro-white." And then our argument is pretty simple. It's that, no, actually, it's immoral to not be pro-white, because God created white people, God created black people, and if you are of that group, you should try to preserve that, and you should work towards celebrating those differences, not belittling them.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I was actually wondering, do you know much about like the groups like Return to the Land?
I know of them. I don't know about them. So I know that they're, you know,
they're a pro white organization, and the members have I think they have another community building, but they have an official functioning community in Arkansas. No blacks, no Hispanic, only whites only, and no gays and no Jews. I think is this is the group. So
no blacks, no gays, no Jews.
yeah,
Normal
exactly.
people.
So with the existence, they were also attacked by the Arkansas Attorney General trying to find reasons why their private membership would qualify as an illegal group, and they couldn't find anything. So with groups like this emerging, and we're actually members ourselves, do you think that like more people are going to be susceptible to this kind of thing when they see that there's communities of like-minded pro-white people starting to sprout up across the country?
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. You know, when I left the party, the last thing I said too, I was like, hey, you know, you guys might think I'm crazy now, but in 10 years, demographics is going to be the #1 political topic, because look at them changing. White people, as soon as we get back into a corner, as soon as we lose the majority, a lot more of us are going to wake up. Not because we're evil or because it's what we do. No, it's because out of necessity. I mean, we're getting stabbed in the neck on a bus. I mean,
yeah.
You know, so yeah, I think so. And I think what's really cool too, what I even see, I'll even go a step further, which is kind of cool, is that I see other groups that are not white actually kind of applauding us in this path. I'm going to be honest with you, and I was not expecting it. You know, the Hispanics and even some of the blacks, not a lot, of course. There's only a few.
Oh, I know quite a few black people who are very pro-white and very against the oppressive nature of what society does to.
If it goes through well, we'll have a black guy on next week who's been dealing with the same shit. He has mixed race kids, and he's like, the idea that someone would look at my kids and be like, you're white, and decide to be violent towards them is completely unacceptable. Like,
yeah.
But most people come to white societies, white countries, and they enjoy what they have available to them that's unavailable to them anywhere else. It's a level of meticulous care. It's a level of compassion. It's a level of, hey, we shouldn't have to tolerate or accept our city smelling like piss. We shouldn't have to tolerate or accept garbage everywhere. But if you import cultures where it's not important to have a positive outlook, nor important to have a hygienic existence, you're going to end up falling into what New York has fallen into, where now it's repulsive and repugnant. I mean, you go into areas where it should be glorious and glamorous. It should be the golden age, the gilded age. People should look at these major cities from foreign countries or from within here and be like, I can't wait to go vacation there. I want to go see the Paris of America. Instead, now we turn these places, because they're liberal strongholds and because liberalism is communism. It believes that every individual group needs to be catered to, protected, and hand-fed. No one should have to earn anything on their own. This notion is anti-white within itself. We didn't come here and inherit a built society. We came here and we were warred against by savages who were cannibals and genocidal, and they wanted nothing more than our destruction because we existed. They sided against us 3 times. They lost 3 times. The idea that they were given plots of land on their own is commendable to a degree, because I can't sit here and say every Native American was a bloodthirsty cannibal savage. I can't say every I'll say black. I can't sit here and say that every black, what is or was a criminal piece of shit. I can't say every Hispanic I meet is a. I've got a. I mean, I wish I had some Asians in there. It's like one Asian guy, one Vietnamese, but a lot of Hispanics.
We're looking for you. If you're Asian,
if you're Asian and you want to be my bud, I need some more Asians. But
I know an Asian. I know a Mongolian that you guys would love. He's awesome.
That's great.
Awesome.
I mean, I'm friends with the
We'll add him to the crew.
Yeah. I'm friends with the Vietnamese guy, but I can't dox him because he's YouTube famous. But like, it's like they get this. A lot of other groups get this, and I don't hate anyone for being who they are. I hate them for hating who I am and telling me that my children are going to have to grow up in a world where they're targeted because of their fucking race. It's insane. And I'm not walking around. I don't do jobs at black houses and be like, I'm going to fuck this up because you're black. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Can you just like, can you just chill? And if we're just asking for everybody to have basic equality, that ship has sailed. They think equality means equality of outcome, not equality of opportunity. And that means that if you don't work hard, you should be given a house. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Sorry for cussing so much, but it's just...
That's fine. I've got 2 more videos for us to respond to. They're real quick. They're both concerning the Biden administration's handling of the Esptien case. They're real quick. I'll let them go and we'll respond, and then we'll wrap it up because I want to make sure that we don't keep you guys here too long. But this one, first we've got the ghetto Jasmine Crockett talking about, oh, well, Biden never said. Well, we'll just let her.
For about 2 months because we couldn't talk about Jeffrey Epstein. We were gone for about 2 months because we couldn't talk about Jeffrey Epstein. And now everybody wants to act as if they want to have like a real honest conversation about the victims and the survivors and everybody else. Where was this conversation a long time ago? And I know that y'all love to go back and say that Joe Biden didn't do it. You know, Joe Biden is blamed for everything. Joe Biden didn't do anything and it was Joe Biden's fault. And why wasn't Joe Biden? Joe Biden didn't campaign on it. I just want to be clear. If y'all can run me the tape, then run me the tape. But you know, when you campaign and you go out and you make a promise, then we evaluate whether or not you actually meet your promises. So listen, this was rope that y'all decided to hang yourselves with because the president campaigned on the Epstein files while we were campaigning on things such as affordability. We were gone for.
All right. Chance, your response.
You know, I don't even want to respond because I know what she's doing. What she's doing is she's playing a role to appeal to a low IQ base of people that agree with her about everything and anything. They're pretty much the vile people of Earth that really are racist, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just low IQ. Well, he didn't campaign on it. It's like, what? What are you saying?
Of course he didn't campaign on it. All his buddies are on it.
Yeah, it's like, what are you saying? You mean he lied and covered up a giant sex trafficking ring, but since he didn't mention in his campaign statement, he gets a free pass?
Yeah, no.
Everything's Joe Biden's fault. Everything's Joe Biden's fault. She looked up campaign financing from Republicans just randomly, then goes on the House floor and says, look at all these people that be getting money from Jeffrey Epstein. And guess what? It was the wrong Jeffrey Epstein.
It was the wrong Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, you're right.
She's so stupid. How do we have people like this in office? She is dumb. I'm sorry. I'm going to be racist right now. What do you talk about when it comes to like blacks having low IQ? She falls under that banner.
That's sorry. The thing. If my race was known for being low IQ and I was considered a person who's supposed to be revered, I would try extra hard to not be retarded.
The whole thing is too that.
Oh, look at all these Jeffrey Epsteins.
You know that voice is a LARP. I don't know if anyone wants to look up Look up Jasmine Crockett videos from when she first got elected and was trying to campaign. Hello, my name is Jasmine Crockett, and I'm from. And as soon as she gets in, well, let me tell you about this. Oh, lordy, with the. Come on, man.
So we got another.
You're doing blackface. She's doing fucking blackface. Yeah. She's doing black.
We got another blackface politician talking about or maybe ignoring the Biden situation. We'll go ahead and play that clip now.
Can you tell us why your administration didn't release the Esptien files? Can you tell us? 4 years, but you guys didn't do it. What's your take on it? Madam Vice President, can you tell us why your administration?
Yeah, no reply, nothing.
She wasn't told to. I mean, everyone knows that she was hired in to be the shot of coffee into the glass of milk that was Joe Biden. He's a white Protestant who celebrated the replacement of European white stock in this country. He's on film doing it over and over. In the next few years, that this country's majority won't be white stock, won't be European stock, and that's a good thing. European stock is the term he used because they see us as chattel. They see us as goyim. They see us as replaceable cogs. I apologize for burping. It's bubbly water. It makes you burp. They see us as replaceable cogs, as if there's a magic soil. There is no magic soil. It's the big thing about nationalism everywhere. If you're a nationalist for the UK, you're a nationalist for Sweden, nationalist for Germany, nationalist for Italy or France. There is no magic soil. You can't replace 100,000 of wherever the fuck you're from with people from a third world and just imagine that they're going to suddenly become Dutch. It doesn't work. I mean, you are where you are because your ancestors fought forever to get there. And the idea that, I mean, even in the Bible, I wish I could pull up the exact verses, but it talks about every people to their own place and time, separated deliberately. Someone has come in with a very controlling wand and started forcing people together that had no business being together and didn't want to be together. If you want to improve Africa, you want to improve Sri Lanka, you go to Sri Lanka or Africa and you improve it. You don't tell them, abandon all of your roots.
Best and finest here.
Abandon all of your roots, abandon every aspect of what makes you you, and go to another country and then demand they change to accommodate you. That
Also-
doesn't make logical sense. And I try to find logical arguments. I try to see logic in the enemy because it's hard for me to believe, as I said earlier in today's stream, altruistic evil is very rare. There aren't people who wake up and say, I want to do evil. Everyone justifies what they're doing in their own mind. It's a natural human reaction. I justify what I say and what I do because I think that I'm right. And I have yet to see evidence to tell me otherwise. And instead of actual evidence of any sort, what I'm met with is you can't think that because of who you are intrinsically. And I've got kids, and I plan on having a lot more kids. So the idea that you're going to tell me that my kids are at fault because of who they are genetically, while you move to my country and pervert my culture, fuck you.
Yeah. Yes, someone in the comments, Miss Campbell, she said, speak up. We got to speak up. I fear for my kids. I think what we could, I guess we could go into kind of some of the things I've been working on, kind of an action plan, if you
Yeah,
guys
feel
would
free.
allow me to.
Of course.
So what I think we should do, if you can, not everyone should do this, but maybe some of us could, is you could get together with some of your friends, even, 5 to 10, meet up and start a political club. This club, you could call it, we're calling ours Bakersfield First, which is it's the city that I'm from in California. We're calling it Bakersfield First, right? Like America First. You could call it whatever you want. And then what you're going to do is you're going to identify all of the local political clubs that are tied to the Republican Party or the Republican Central Committee in your area. Now, the Republican Central Committee, think of that as like the rock that holds your county together, okay? And that they communicate directly with the federal party and the state party as well. And they get money and resources and everything from them, but not much. They mostly get all their money from the politicians and the donors from that county. They control the city council and the supervisor districts and all their appointees for all the different organizations, all the different nonprofits around the city. That's where all the money comes from. So at this party, the way they get elected and they keep their power is they have these little groups attached to them. Their names are sometimes the Young Republicans, Republican Women. There'll be like an acronym like GBRA. These different political groups that they're responsible for knocking on doors, making phone calls, raising money from the donors, having parties, hosting events, doing fundraisers, things like this. And what you're going to do is that those groups have a board of 5 members. It's usually the chair, vice chair 2, treasurer, and secretary. And they have elections every year. The main rock of the party only has elections every 4 years. And there's about, we'll say 50 members in the main rock, and they all have equal power. Besides, there is a chair and everything too for that group. But your end goal is to take over that group. But first, you have to take over the small groups, the Young Republicans, right? And so you and 5 friends get together, sign up, put each other in the board, and start moving and gaining money, getting in touch with the donors and doing things. And it's fun. You learn talking skills, you learn organization skills, you make a lot of, you meet a lot of people, you do a lot of networking. If you have business, it's a really good thing to do for business. And you also can fight for your nation in this way. If we do that in 4 years and we work super hard, 3 years, if we work super hard, we can eventually take over that county-wide party. If you can take over that county-wide party, if you take over all the small groups, you gain a bunch of membership, you build your Bakersfield First Club into like 60 members and you're taking over every club, and then you run in 3 years for the Central Committee and you take it over, you will have actively taken over your local party. And if you can do that, and we all can do that, we're going to start sending Congress members to Congress that will start saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, the farming industry wants to pay me a ton of money to vote against making raw milk legal. But I know that raw milk is actually good for you, and kids need it, and people need it, and I'll let them be the ones that decide if they want to have it or not. And they are overwhelmingly, on both sides of the party, want it to be legal. So we're going to vote, whether it would go through or not, to make it legal. And they're not going to take the money from the big farming industry. And if you can do that and you can keep your account, because if they don't, then they're going to have problems with their own party at home because you're going to control it. If you can do that, then every single county, it'll be like a trickle effect. Every single county will start voting against something like raw milk. There's way more bigger things to vote. I'm just using that as an example. Mm-hmm. And then we can actually get things passed that are going to benefit our people rather than benefit the pockets of the politicians. Another real quick method, because it's kind of, I know I'm going through a lot really quick.
No, please.
The main reason why you would do this as well is because the way government works right now, and Elon Musk talked about this with Doge, the politicians hear the problems from us. We complain to them, and the news complains to them. and they go, oh, there's a homeless issue. There's a drug epidemic. How do I fix that? The state goes, hey, here's some money to you. Here's a grant, or here's a lot of money to fix this problem. How you're going to fix that problem is you're going to pay you can either pay governmental organizations, which is expanding the government, and conservatives usually fight against that, which is hard to do, or you can do the option 2, which they love to do. Start a nonprofit, a non-governmental organization, also known as an NGO, which is what you hear Elon Musk talk about, which is just the government expanded, but without naming it the government. And then they'll hire all their cousins, friends, brothers, sisters, uncles, all their buds, and they'll give them $100,000 a year. They'll have no experience in the field, or they'll have some master's degree, but unable to get a job because they got a master's degree in sociology or something.
Egyptology.
And so they'll get these nonprofit jobs. They give them $100,000 a year. They show up to work maybe 2-3 times a week, and they're complete lazy bums that don't solve the problem whatsoever and have no life experience. And they spend their times at the bars and alcohol and drugs and doing coke with all the politicians. And they give the politicians back the money for their campaign. They'll give them $5,000 that'll max out. And so the more nonprofits and the more money that they get from the state, the politicians can give to the nonprofits, it's a way to secure their next year's election, because they can raise all that money. And there's other ways they take bribes. They take bribes through nonprofits, through buying homes, through hiring artists. If you notice, a lot of city politicians, Democrats will hire like all this artwork getting painted downtown. Well, if you look at the artist that's doing it, they're getting paid $800,000 to do it. And it's always the son of the person giving them the grant in the state capitol. Always. So that's what they do. They're lobbying us. They're lobbying that work so that way they can get more money for their campaign. So what we have to do, what we can do with, and this is legal, by the way, it's not illegal what they're doing. It's just rampant corruption that we allow. What we have to do is we have to siphon the money from the nonprofits and give it to the churches, because churches are good at solving the homeless epidemic. They're already doing it for tithe money, not even the state money, and the homeless issue. And did I already say the homeless issue, drug issue, homeless issue. And then you can also give it to the gyms for the youth issues that we have. And you can also free up clubs like the Young Republicans, who are supposed to take white males like me and white women and actually teach them how to do business, how to get jobs, how to do all these things in their life, and have young men like me that say, hey, this is what I went through. And this is what gives them the power back to the people to actually make us a strong party. And that's what we have to do. Shift the money from the nonprofits to the churches. That's what we'll do.
And it's a really good point. Everything you said, and I'm really hoping people that are listening are paying attention, because there's an aversion to getting involved at all. We paint with a broad brush in America. If you're going to say the left is, then the Democrats are, and you just keep painting. You paint your big triangle and an inverted triangle, and you say, fuck them. And then you look at the right, and the same thing happens. People say the Republican Party is worthless because Republican representatives aren't doing what we want them to do. But you're right. It comes from power and influence, and it comes from push, and it comes from messaging. And if they're not getting enough push, you have to unfortunately think of politics and politicians like animals, farm animals. You can lead them up the tree 2 ways. You can make a mule climb a tree by busting off a 30-06 behind it and whip it enough times, it'll climb the tree. It ends up a scared animal in a precarious situation. You have to, you're 100% right. You have to angle it in from low, because this is our country. This is our country. Politicians don't own this. Politicians look at us like farm animals. They look at us like livestock. And you know what? If we stop producing your eggs and milk, if we stop feeding you, you're going to have to address the problem you've created with us. And the only way forward, I think, we let them lose the midterms. I agree with Nick Fuentes about that. That makes logical sense. They are under the impression that if they threaten us with the leftist stick enough times, we're just going to cower back and do... No. Get hit with the stick. Fuck them. I'm going to be perfectly frank. I'm blue collar. I'm in Appalachia. It doesn't affect me who's in the White House. What trickles down does not touch the churches that I work on, the orphanages I work on, the fucking additions I put on people's personal homes. They need the work done. It doesn't affect me. The national tax rate doesn't affect me. As a felon, I can't vote. Like, my vote in my house comes from my woman. So if you repeal the 19th, I agree. But that means my house is canceled out until my kids turn 18. So, like, but I'm saying, like, levity aside, I completely agree with what you're saying. Because if we don't realize that it's ours, it's our party. It's not their party. They're on the way out. We were discussing boomers earlier and demographic change. Demographics isn't just race. It's also age. And you have to consider that a lot of the people who support the status quo, they're on the way out. And is that unfortunate? In a lot of people's cases, yeah, no one wants to see their uncle, their aunt, their mom, their dad, their grandparents go. But you have to also understand that they were inundated by 40 years of propaganda. And these people, for the most part, the establishment, they don't have our best interest in mind. They want the status quo.
Yeah.
I just can't believe people are so stupid who keep voting blue. You have to understand, it's about worldview. Everyone who votes liberal and Democrat constantly, they believe that the whole world would be better off if we catered to every individual small group. They think that altruism can come from us just opening our heart to the world. They don't accept nefarious identity. They don't understand what malice is. They don't get it because it's not in them. Just because you're not evil, just because you don't ever get the urge to grab someone by the throat and headbutt them until one of you goes unconscious, doesn't mean someone else doesn't have that urge. And I can see Chance has the same urge sometimes, but we control it because we're white people. I have not committed assault in 8 years, and I don't plan on doing it again because I learned from my lesson. So like the idea that most people get confused on is I don't want to be mean. Yeah, you don't want to be mean, but have you ever raised dogs or raised kids? My daughter would love nothing more than for me to make her M&M pancakes for every meal. I can't do that. It doesn't it's my responsibility not to behave that way. So for someone else to say it's cruel, cruelty is necessary on occasion. What you consider cruelty could actually be compassion. It's the reason that we installed those liberal nose rings, the septum rings. We can say up septum ring detected, opinion disregarded. Like the reason that piercing exists is to lead a farm animal somewhere it doesn't want to go. That the political system has been using fear of the opposite party to do that for decades.
Yep.
And if we just say, hey, wait a minute, I can let you rip this thing out of my nose, and then you could never bring me anywhere again. Take a moment of pain for a lifetime of progress. Because if the bull realized it could just rip back, go ow, and then gore the farmer, it's over. So, like,
Yeah.
stop being conditioned by pain. Pain is part of life. The struggle and suffering build strength. They build progress. You have to steer into the skid. We've been so conditioned to believe that we are beaten into kowtowing that you understand. You understand.
What's interesting too is that our grandparents always tell us, you've probably heard this, everyone's probably heard this. Strong men create good times create weak men create bad times create strong men. And it's like, it's so funny that they say that to us, because it's like, look what's changing right now. They're totally race blind. They're totally driven by what the other party says about them. They're totally individualistic and they're totally materialistic. And that's why we're in the position we're in, because the people that are in positions of power care more about money than they care about raising the youth and investing in the youth. That's why we're in the position we're in. We've been betrayed, and it's so obvious now, and we've woken up, and it's taken 2 or 3 generations. I think millennials are getting a little bit of it, and I think the Gen X's even kind of know it because they've been screwed by the boomers too. But Gen Z is like, okay, that is it. We're not moving another inch. Like, we're not. And we're gonna say the N-word. I'm sorry, but it feels good, but it's also, it's just funny. They call us everything that they are.
Yeah, it's literally the introduction of the book The Big Lie. It explains basically like when you want to deflect what you're doing, you accuse somebody else of what you're doing, so that they look over there. The Big Lie.
The Big Lie. Not a bad one. Not a bad one at all. I could sit here and give you my library next to me, but The Big Lie is a good one.
Well, I do want to leave us with some closing words. We'll do Tim and then Chance, because I want you to be able to have the final word, and then please let us know where to follow you and everything after that. But this is where we'll wrap up. So Tim, will have your final words, and then we'll end with Chance. And then I'll kick you guys out and do my thing, but we'll let you guys wrap up first.
Well, look, it's always wonderful to have conversations with people. I'm glad you're able to make it. I'm sorry the EST didn't stick well enough in your big fucking head. Eastern Standard Time, but that's fine. No, I love having conversations with other people with differing perspectives. I can be told I'm a knucklehead. I can be told I'm right. I can be told I'm brilliant. I can be told I'm retarded. I know that I'm speaking my truth. To use a cringe phrase, this is my truth, and this is all that matters. But no, really, I'm telling the truth. And I'd love to be met with a counter narrative, but you don't get met with that from the left. So it comes to the right to argue with the right. Because if you're not in the mood to just hear empty ad hominem, you can't argue with people who view your entire worldview as heretical. Heretical to theirs, heretical to your own, heretical to the public good. if you understand that the country is moving in a direction it shouldn't be, you need to do something about it. Because in the same way that, like I just said, whoever's in the White House doesn't affect me, the midterms won't affect me. Ultimately, it will affect our country. And going forward, if we don't apply carrot and stick the same way it's been applied to us, then we're left bereft of anyone to represent us. And in a representative democracy like this, we have no choice but to take action. And there's plenty of people who feel impotent, they feel completely incapable. You are capable. Like I said about the bull analogy, if the bulls decided to rip their noses free, the farmer is fucked. So you've got to decide to undergo a little pain. You got to choose a little bit of suffering. You got to tighten the belt just a bit and be willing to endure the snow. And in the spring, you get to plant whatever the fuck you want. You get to do what you need to do. No one should feel incapable of changing their own destiny. You are the architect of your own destiny. Tomorrow you could invent the new cell phone or you could kill yourself. It's up to you. Like, just realize you're not powerless. Human beings are capable of so much. And anyone watching, man, woman, white, black, brown, or otherwise, it's up to you. And I believe in you. I'm team human 100%. I think we are totally capable of overcoming this. And you want me to Dunbar's number down what part of humanity I'm a part of or a team fan of? We can do that, but it's an unnecessary game. I'm saying you're capable. You're actually capable. You don't have to be a spectator. This is not a spectator sport. This is your fucking future. This is your life. And I believe you can change it for the better. I'll end with that. Tim Talk 6. Don't got a lot going on other than coming here Monday and Saturday and building other people's houses. When the snow starts, I can do that too. But for the most part, I'm just being a dad and a husband and a guy. And this is my country. And I want nothing more than for you people to be engulfed in love and happiness. We deserve it. That's what everyone deserves. And the fact that people aren't, the people who are essentially our governmental parents are letting us sit in shitty diapers and not giving us nutrition, it's fucking wrong. Because I'm watching them give it to other people. I'm watching them care for other people. So just, it's not you, it's them. And we can make them change. You just have to not give up, become dedicated, and quit smoking. And that's about it. Chance, it's up to you, buddy. Take it on.
All right. So I kind of think I know the crowd that I'm talking to here, so I'll kind of assume a few things. I'll assume you guys mostly are already kind of woken up. I think I'd really like to have a come to Jesus moment right now is what they say, right? It's where, you know, we realize that there has been past movements just like ours many times throughout history, and they have failed horribly. They've been persecuted, killed, made to be the most vile, worthless people. A lot of our ancestors fall in those categories. And so we our back is against the wall. We have not one more inch to move. And we have to be very honest and we have to be very precise. We have to win this time. That's what we have to do. We have to focus on what does it take to win? How do we do that? Now, a lot of people, and Tim mentioned this earlier about morality and, well, does it seem like the right thing to do? Look at Jesus's life. Every time you focus on, you see Jesus, he always takes the third option every time. When there's a discussion, when there's an argument between two people, you think, oh, God's going to go with the righteous person who you assume is righteous, but he takes a third position and he has empathy for the enemy. And he does this thing that no one ever expected. He turns the other cheek. He does these things that nobody ever expected. Right now, we have a third option. Machiavelli said that morality is wielded as a weapon, okay? And he also said, he said, a prince who always tries to be good will come to ruin among so many who are not good. Meaning, the game we are playing right now, if you want to play this righteous game to the end, you will lose, no doubt. But Jesus knows that. Jesus isn't sitting there going, well, oh, well, you're just going to have to lose and go extinct, white people. Sorry. He's not doing that. I can assure you. There is a third option. The third option is to be good, honest, but also understand where we are in history and where we are in our timeline and go, hey, we want to preserve our people. There is nothing not Christian and not moral about that. It's really important that you know that when you go to sleep at night and you're on your phone and you see a kid, well, you kicked me in my back. And that's replaying in your head over and over again. Wake up the next day with conviction. Pray, eat right, get your money right, and get involved in politics and do the right thing. And that's all.
Amen to that. Thank you so much. And tell the people where we can follow you and support your work.
So you can follow me on Instagram. Everything else I've gotten kicked off of, unfortunately. But my Instagram is my same name. It's Chance C. My name is actually Chance C. Minton, but I go by Chance C on Instagram, which is CHANNSEE. Yeah, follow me on there. You can follow me on Telegram too, Chance C. Minton, and Paint the Town Red podcast on YouTube.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Just before you head into your end, and absolutely, my heart goes out to you, Chance. What I was going to say is, sitting next to me is my grandfather's book. It was a dissertation. It's The Power and the Machiavellian Method.
Oh, yeah.
And it's how he got his doctorate. And there's a quote on the first page I'd like to read from Aesop's Fables, about 600 BC, but I think it's relevant to what we're discussing right now, and then I'll sign off and let Kimberly do her thing. When the hare addressed a public meeting and claimed that all should have fair shares, the lion answered, "A good speech, but it lacks the claws and teeth that I have."
Exactly.
Amen to that.
Jesus knows that. Yep. Exactly.
Thank you guys both so much. I'm going to kick you out for now.
All right, guys. Have a
good
one.
one.
Thank you so much,
Have
guys.
a good one. My heart goes out to you, brother. All right. And that was War Paint for today, you guys. Again, I'm sorry to start late. You guys know to expect that at this point. And I'm just going to ride the pregnancy excuse for a little bit. It was really great to have Chance on. I hope that you guys are following him now. Take that opportunity while you're searching people to go follow the Warboy Studio. If you have not already, make sure that you like this, follow us. I actually have it streaming to YouTube. We'll see how many of these I can do before they decide to kick me. I do want to try to monetize over there. So if you can do me a favor and follow me over there, that would be wonderful. It's at Culture, and then I have another channel. This is Warpaint. I'm going to be posting clips on both of them. I'm going to be doing lives on both of them. I'm going to be doing more interviews, more panels. The book club is on its way. I'm going to be doing sneak peeks and stuff like that on my Twitter, or AKA X. So make sure you're following Culture and subscribe. It's $3 a month. You'll forget about that. And it is worth the stuff that I'm going to be putting there as a previews, including selling raffle tickets at half price to all my subscribers for Warped Tour 2026 in DC. So those are going to go live very soon on 1776.shop. And I will hopefully also be hosting a lot of other products there, including the lip glosses made by Talomom and homemade mugs also made by Alicia. They're beautiful and I love them so much. She put a lot of effort in. Both women are so wonderful. Follow Talomom and Daughter of Wolves on X. They're amazing. Make sure that you support Alicia's program for hypermesis. She is very knowledgeable and very great. And I really hope that she helps a lot of women. I think she has the capability of helping a lot of women. Make sure that you are tuned in next Thursday because we're going to be going over the Essential Mein Kampf. Make sure that you are here on Monday. We're going to have another great show lined up for you. And just thank you for being here. It's been really great. I love doing this for you guys, and it's impossible without your support. So thank you to all the people who already subscribe. Thank you to the people who are going to, and even just for the likes and follows. It really goes a long way. This show has grown so much. When we started, there was maybe 200, 500, and we're ending most shows around 2,000 now. And with that trajectory, who knows where we can go. I would love to be able to do this as often as possible for you guys. I love hanging out, and I love bringing real news and bringing real people who have interesting things to say, no matter how controversial. Remember, if you're not pissing people off, how can you say you're pro free speech? Pro free speech. Can I even speak English? I don't know. I really wonder that sometimes. Anyway, I'm very grateful. It's another beautiful day. We're really blessed to have this platform. And thank Enrique Tario for that, because without him, we're just a bunch of idiots yelling into the void. So thanks again for joining Warpaint. It is a pleasure. And I will see you guys on Monday. I hope that you wore it well.